Ever witnessed someone so fast on track you doubt you could ever be on their level? The mission of Advanced Motorsports is to demonstrate the speed is achievable for everyone. With the expertise of some of the best sim drivers in North America, we are set to release free content on social media and comprehensive guides on our website. For those seeking the ultimate experience, our Advanced Motorsport Institute and personalized coaching sessions are the way to go. No matter your level of experience, we invite you to follow us on our social media to learn to be fast.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Precision Racing League has been feeling a little bit like Jack Johnson recently. You know, from Curious George, I want to turn the whole thing upside down. We were in Bathurst last week, Sandown this week. We hope the stars and cars of the PRL on Monday nights are all oriented and ready to keep racing on the bottom half of the earth in Australia, because we certainly are not. My name is still Joey Tebbin. Alongside me in the booth is DJ Clark. This week, DJ stands for Did Jury Do, by the way. Behind the scenes is our producer, Dustin Ollis, and we welcome you to round 4 of both of the prototype series in the PRL here on Monday night, starting with the LMP3-GT4 Challenge. DJ, we're still getting oriented here. We're still getting rid of some Australian jet lag, but we will go racing on one of the most simple tracks on the schedule.
Well, it's a simple track here, Joey, but don't let that deceive you. This is an incredibly tricky Sandown circuit, even when you're running in single-class positions. But throw multi-class into this mix, and you've got a whole different kettle of fish entirely. This is going to be tricky for these LMP3s to try to work their way on by. This is not going to be an easy race for anybody.
We're going to let the camera people out there readjust their lenses and put in some new SIM cards. Hopefully that'll get us oriented correctly. But we're not done being in the sort of the far east of the world. Australia this week, the final bit of our Australian double tour. Then we go up to Suzuka in Japan, and then back to the US. We go down to Barber in Alabama, back to Europe for the Hungaroring, back to Japan again for Okayama, and then all the way across the Pacific Ocean, finishing just a few miles down the road from Mr. DJ Clark at Long Beach. It's going to be a lot of flight miles. It's going to be a lot of very different tracks, but it's going to be fantastic waiting to see that finale at Long Beach. That's going to be absolute craziness, as if we're not going to have enough of that tonight. It has not been crazy in the driver's standings so far. There's been 2 winners. One driver's won 2 races. That guy's name is Dayton Lowe. One driver has won 1 race. That guy's name is Jason Drescher. Do a little bit of simple math. That adds up to them being at the top of the table, DJ. But we're only 3 rounds into the season. There are a lot of other drivers in that top 10 who are still looking for their first win this season.
Yeah, there really and truly are, and there have been plenty of drivers that are knocking on the door, getting ready to put themselves forward to see if they're going to be able to get into that position. So we're going to have to see how they are able to do. Don't sleep on Karanges, Kulaga, Uretsky. They are all very, very dangerous, and especially around a track like this that is incredibly difficult to manage. Look for some incidents and accidents to maybe put a few drivers that you wouldn't expect up at the top of the charts.
The team standings are also a little bit funky because Dayton Lowe, who leads leads the championship does not have any teammates. He's racing as a solo driver. So Vulture Motorsports South are actually leading the team's championship. That's Aero Urexoy, Steven Martinez, and Michael Kulaga. All three of those drivers have had solid results. They've had decent results. Haven't won a race yet, though, but by virtue of having many, many cars running for the team's championship, they're in the lead, along with Throttle Thursday. That's Karanjis and Dinsmore and Doucette. Vulture Motorsports North is Eric Kulaga, Michael Fowler, and I believe they're the only two on that team. Then Grant's Garage, that is Jason Drescher. He does have a teammate in Ian Starker. Starker wasn't here for round 3, so those points are not adding to their team's championship chances. No drop weeks in the PRL nowadays. With only 9 rounds in the season, the drop week has been dropped. So you do have to be consistent, and you do have to be competing every single week. Speaking of competing every single week, Justin Ream has gone 100% this season. 3 out of 3 wins. Hasn't even been touched in any one of those races, but it's starting to look a little bit closer. Graham Wildman was actually the fastest driver in practice here at Sandown. Can he get himself back in the top 10 in the standings? He's going to have to work to do that because, as I mentioned, no drop weeks this season. Graham missed last week. That's going to be the tale of the rest of his season. How much higher up can he get into the top 10? He's got a lot of work to do there. In the team standings, things are also very close because, once again, championship leader Justin Ream does not have any teammates in the field. Turn 1 and done, they actually lead the team's championship, despite the fact that they are their highest driver is Gary Gainsel in 10th. It just goes to show, DJ, that consistency in a team's championship is the most important thing you can have.
Yeah, it really and truly is. Just getting those consistent knockout results there. You don't need to be setting the world on fire. Just as long as you are able to get those good results in, that's what matters, and that's what gets you up on the top of the charts.
I should say that Sean Romig is actually the lead driver for Turn 1 and done. Gary Gainsel is the second driver, but still, both of them doing fantastic jobs with that team. And everybody doing a fantastic job out on track for qualifying right now. But before we can get into that, I have to do a fantastic job of reading the people who make all of this possible, starting with Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision5 coupon code. Coverage is also brought to you by Racebox Sim Racing. Racebox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, their button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit raceboxsimracing.com and also get a 5% discount, also using the Precision5 coupon code. This coverage is brought to you by The Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products add incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat with The Butt Kicker. More Adness is a performance lifestyle brand motivated by motorsport and founded by professional race car driver and 24 Hours of Daytona winner this past weekend, Daniel Morad. For more information, visit moreadness.com. Mr. Hedge iRacing Photography. Capture your finest, proudest, or simply worst moments from your hobby in up to 8K resolution. A great addition to any sim room. And last but not least, Advanced Motorsports. Get ready to learn to be fast with Advanced Motorsports. Follow them on their socials to become a better driver. A little bit of new statisticking going on in the ad reads this week because Daniel Morad, one of the drivers very, very involved in the PRL, very, very helpful, can now call himself a Rolex 24 winner in the GTD class. But we've got some GT4s out on track right now as the Echelon SimSport Mercedes brings it across the line. 47 seconds to go in qualifying. That's not going to be enough time for Carter James to get back around. He's going to stay P4.
He's going to stay P4 at this point. Adam Ostrich going to be able to hold on to 9th place at the moment. Niall Drake going to try to move his way up a little bit in the standings here at this point, as he's going to bring his way through the final couple of chicanes on this very tricky Sandown circuit. Comes by the pit lane entrance there. Niall trying to improve from a 25th place position. I don't think he's going to up it. No, he is. Excuse me. A nice run there for Niall. I'll jump in by 43rd.
That's some good math for him coming up the line. JP LMP3 across the line. Not going to his way. Unfortunately, 8 seconds slower on that lap. As the clock ticks to 0, the qualifying will end low qualifying. As 2 classes on track in this series, you really don't want to have 2 classes on track at the same time in qualifying. But as we are finished with qualifying, we do have the grid for you. And once again, 8 in the low will start from pole. The last 2 times he's done that, he has not been touched in racing conditions, but it was very, very close this time. Jason Drescher, championship rival on the front row, only 64 thousandths off. Vincent Leroux, also very, very fast in practice, very fast in qualifying as well, only a 10.5 off a pole. Steven Martinez makes up row number 2 with Leroux, and then it's Carangis and Morissette, and place where they usually are, 5th and 6th on the grid. JP Alfonso, solid qualifying from him to start alongside Ian Starker, Corey Precker, and last week's podium sitter Daniel Kranifus looking to get back up there and make up a couple spots from P10. Kulaga and Kwok Nin round out the top dozen. Behind them, unlucky 13th went to Eric Kulaga, who starts alongside Greg Doucette of Throttle Thursday. Nicholas Salapoutis starts alongside Nico Sonidakis. Good row for all you fans of varieties of the name Nick. And then Michael Fowler and another Nick, Nicholas Collender, round out the top 18. One more driver in LMP3, Mr. Josh Kimball, start 19th and last in class. Once again in GT4, Justin Ream will start from the pole position. That's his 25th pole in GT4 competition in the PRL, quarter of a way to a century. But Graham Wildman really keeping him honest, only 61 thousandths off. Could Graham pull the upset and win another race? Could Cade Smith pull the upset after a great race last week? Could Carter James maybe have his best race of the season? He's starting P4. The purple continues as Ted Lowendick's down in P5. He starts alongside Kalen Tobin in his Aston Martin. P7 went to Sean Romig alongside Michael Doyle. Adam Ostrich, wishing he's a little bit like an Australian emu, going fast this week in the top 10 alongside big fast Nathan Jennings. Maxime David on row number 6 will start alongside another echelon driver in Joshua Burke. Unlucky 13th this week went to John Krauser. He starts alongside Princess Peach Brett Punkari. Will Jennings 15th alongside Jean-Sebastien Bédard, a little bit lower than we're used to seeing him. Gary Gainsel and Matthew Zerwick on row number 9. Rounding out the top 20, it's Kenny Gorman, the lead Gorman, alongside Canada's Tim McLeish. Duncan Staroska starts 21st alongside the car that is definitely not Graham Wildman. That is Robert McGeehan. Doug Evans 23rd alongside Niall Drake. But the hits keep on coming. It is a big field in GT4, and the final hit is Mr. Dan Gorman. Starts shotgun on the field in that Mercedes GT4. Sean Mulholland will not start the race. He'll be on admin duty as usual. And I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of admin duty today, DJ, because that is almost 50 cars at a track that is not used to having that many vehicles, and especially isn't used to having multi-class racing with both kinds of vehicles.
Yeah, certainly is. This is going to be a big, big test for a lot of these drivers, making sure they are able to get themselves sorted and not have any problems as they come through the final chicane right now behind the safety car. This is going to be a race about calm. This is going to be a race about control.
The Australian Tour in the LMP3-GT4 Challenge continues, and we are green without the gold at Sandown. Dayton Lowe, championship leader, gets a solid start, stratifies the field 1, 2, 3 into turn 1. But what can Jason Drescher do in the braking zone? Vincent Leroux takes a peek. They're going to be single file through turn 1 as Leroux throws it off the road. Green flag in GT4 as well. Justin Ream in control. But look at Carter James peeking a nose to the inside of Cade Smith. Gets the door shut. They're going to be single file in GT4 as well.
Yeah, able to get themselves sorted there. A little bit of a peek to the inside there that you can see side by side setting up into the chicane of turns 2 and 3. But Ream going to be able to hold on to that front of the field for now.
These are critical corners. Very, very difficult to get around this place on cold tires. Massive curbs all throughout the track. But looks like we're all good through LMP3, all good through GT4. But this is one of the trickiest parts of the track, the final sector. Heavy braking zone. Fast corner directly into that. And there is a bobble. Vincent Leroux late on the brakes, bobbles out of the corner. And he's going to get passed by Steven Martinez for P3, or is he not?
Well, it looks like there Dayton Lowe also had a little bit of a mistake as more lockups.
That is Dayton Lowe. That is Dayton Lowe, forgive me. Vincent Leroux in a very similarly painted car is actually fallen as well, but that is Dayton Lowe from pole position, passed for second by Martinez, and may lose third to Carangis into turn 1. Carangis might go 2 for 1.
He's thinking about it. He's going to be trying to lay on the binders there going into the corner. Carangis sets it done. Dayton Lowe trying to fight back now on Steven Martinez. And don't look now, but Joey Morissette trying to be able to come up into that battle as we've got contact farther back behind.
That was JP Alfonso looking for the open door on Vincent Leroux. Leroux off the road in front of Corey Precker. That was a crazy sequence of corners there. It is so difficult to pass at this track. And JP Alfonso got the elbows out. But we're back in GT4 where it's been much calmer. Carter James has looked for a few chances to get by, but he's not been quite so lucky. Let's see what he can do coming out of turn 4.
All right, let's see off to the side there. That is Leroux. That may be a slowdown for Vincent Leroux.
Oh, bad place to get a slowdown as well. Coming down the hill, very high speed sector. He's going to get going as the number 703 is in trouble. That's Michael Doyle going the wrong way, and he's going to realize the narrowness of Sandown as he has to do a 3-point J-turn. But there is big trouble in LMP3. Not quite a track blocker. Getting out of the way. Michael Fowler pulling over, still off the road, trying to rejoin. But this is very treacherous stuff as Michael Fowler's going to have to pass these guys all in GT4 in a very tight sector as Ted Lowendick thinks about coming by.
Yeah, Lowendick going to try to get back by there, and I think the problem here is this is Salapudis farther back down in the field trying to get himself sorted at this point, but I think the problem here that we're going to see for Fowler is he's trying to figure out if there's any damage to that car as well. Collender, the one that now has to get by your leaders, he's going to be able to get by, hopefully, this top three here of Ream, Wildman, and Smith, and then he's going to be on a good run.
But here's what happened to Michael Doyle coming into turn 4, loops it around on his own. Maybe a little bit of help from Nathan Jennings after he already lost it, but he very quickly realized that that part of the track is essentially a street circuit, DJ. There's no margin for error.
Yeah, there really is at the Armco barriers on either side there at that point. Very, very tough as it looks like. Oh, that's Corey Precker around coming onto the back straightaway.
Looks like Dayton Lowe's in trouble as well. It has not been a good day to be a black, yellow, and white LMP3 car as Morissette's going to get by Dayton Lowe on the front straight as I believe he's serving a slowdown. He's still serving that down the front straight. But here's what happened to Corey Precker. Coming down the hill into turn 9, everything looks okay. And then a little bit of a Tony Hawk ollie over the curb.
Yeah, just got a little bit too much of that curb, caught it up, and that's threw him right up into the air there at that point. So that's exactly what that was for him as he tries to regain and get back around here side by side back in the GT4s.
Oh, and that's Maxime David getting turned around by John Krauser. It is so difficult to run side by side through that final corner. It gets so tight, and Maxime David, worst off, he's still parked back there waiting for the whole field to come by.
Yeah, and it's really frustrating there if you are a driver. Maxime doing the right thing, letting the field on by, but more side by side here. Jennings trying to go for a move.
And Jennings almost turns Bedard. That was almost 2 for 2 for the Advanced Motorsports cars getting turned around. Bedard a little bit more lucky, though.
Yeah, a little bit more lucky than Mercedes just taking a little bit more of that impact. But now at this point, as they try to claw their way back up through the field, you've got to be thinking about the draft coming down to the very quick left-hander of turn 6.
Let's see, does Jennings fancy himself a little bit braver through almost a flat-out corner? I don't think it's quite flat out in a GT4 car, but coming into turn 6, you've got to be committed, you've got to be alongside, and Jennings says, I'm alongside enough. Lifts out of it early, though. Doesn't elect to go for the move just yet, but he is hungry. He is looking into the braking zone into turn 9. Not going to happen just yet, but we've still got a spool of replays yet to pull up, DJ, and this is just the start.
Oh, and that's that big impact and the coming together there with Salapudis that we saw, and I didn't see that larger impact from the LMP3 in the back, but that was a huge crash.
Yeah, that was Josh Kimball getting into the wall. He's already pulled off the track. I don't think we'll be seeing him again as there it is. Bam! Almost flipped it. Total destruction. And poor old Josh Kimball. Unfortunately, we may have to call him Josh Pinball today through no fault of his own. Bedard gonna hang on into turn 1, and Carangis falls off the podium as well to Joey Morissette. It has been kicking off constantly, DJ. I don't think we've had a moment of silence in the first 5 minutes.
I don't think we have either. It is absolutely back and forth and back here at this point. Joey Morissette right now trying to be able to get that run. We ride on board as Carangis pokes his nose to the inside later on the binders, but locks up the brakes and goes wide in contact there between Lowe and Morissette.
Oh, and JP Alfonso, no fault of his own there, trying to avoid, gets bonked by the reversing Joey Morissette. It has been anarchy in LMP3 today. And you know who's loving this more than anybody else is Joey Morissette spins it around again in the middle of the road. He elects to tow it back to the pits to stay out of the way. Jason Drescher now boasts a 4-second lead in LMP3 because everybody behind him has been taking each other out.
Yeah, everybody really just knocking each other out here at this point, and that has allowed for that 3-second gap up at the front of the field for Jason Drescher to be able to hold on to. He is absolutely loving this, but JP Alfonso getting a slowdown.
Oh, not a great place to be able to serve it. It is single file through there, but it looks like Corey Precker or Vincent LaRue is going to be able to get around the outside there. I don't think JP has finished serving it. One car getting by, another getting by. That's Kulaga And now, out of the top 10, he is going to still be serving this, potentially. Ian Starker coming through. That could tell us that this isn't a slowdown for Alfonso. This is damage, and he's going to bring it back to the pits.
Yeah, he's going to come down into pit lane here at this point, bring that LMP3 in. We focus in back on the battle for GT4 here, with Wildman has a mirror full of Mercedes in the form of Arcade Smith.
And Justin Ream leading the way here. He's actually pulled quite a large gap, but this is just the GT4 challenge back here. There's been no interactions with the LMP3 leaders just yet, but with how different the lap times are, with how short this lap is in an LMP3 car, these guys are not going to be having a singular GT4 race for long. Those LMP3 cars are coming.
Yeah, they're coming like a train with a full head of steam, and they've got to watch out for it because it could absolutely throw things into chaos here, not only with the effect of having drivers getting close to one another. Oh, but we've got a problem with Dayton Lowe. He's stopped. No rear wing there, and that's Cranfis with no rear wing.
I have to imagine that those two things are related, but we'll wait and see the evidence. Here we go, side by side, and that is calamitous for Dayton Lowe and for Cranfis as well, right in front of Niall Drake in GT4, who does a good job of avoiding it. But 6, 7, 8, 9, that's tough enough when you're single car, DJ. It's even tougher when you're trying to run through there side by side.
Yeah, that was a little aggressive there from Dayton. I think he was really trying to push his way forward and get up into that position. Right now, Vincent Leroux being hounded by Kwok Nin. And you've got to watch out there behind because Michael Kulaga not too far behind either. This has the potential to really fire off into a big battle.
I got to give Vincent Leroux some credit here. He's been up, he's been down, and now he's basically where he was at the end of lap 1. Kwok Nin, a little bit of trouble out of turn 4, though. That's going to allow Michael Kulaga to pull side by side with him down the back straight. There's still Maxime David in that BMW coming up. He might play a role as this battle continues, but Kulaga on the inside into turn 6. Kwok Nin says, I'm going to lift out of that, and I'm going to let you take that for now.
All right, discretion being the better part of valor here at this point, but a lockup in front. They are diving down to the inside. You see the move. That is the kind of assertiveness you've got to have if you are in the midst of a battle here in these LMP3s and you're coming up on some GT4s.
And Kwok getting very frustrated here as he has to get around Maxime David. Doesn't work out for him. Trouble back in GT4. Graham Wildman from second in the running in the first sector falls down to P5 behind Ted Lowendick. Here's what happened.
All right, gets a little bit too much of that curb and just carries too much speed coming through the chicane at turn 2 and 3, and that was enough to push him back down through the order. Credit there to Graham for holding on to that car. We've seen plenty of other issues where that car is fired off and they put themselves in a rough position.
Yeah, he didn't hit the wall there at all, so all of you Wildman fans in the chat, take a screenshot of that, put that in for the save of the season. Brett Pancari trying to get by Baydard as one of the Throttle Thursday LMP3 says, I'm here too, guys, I'm coming through, and Nathan Jennings takes advantage in that red Mercedes through turn 7 and 8 in the grass a little bit. Can he get it slowed down for turn 9? Yes, he can.
Yes, he can, and I've got to admit, that's pretty impressive that he was able to get that slowed down in time. But here at this point, here is what we were worried about, the GT4s getting swallowed up by LMP3s.
This is getting very, very scary, especially in the final sector. One of the tightest sections of any track you can find on iRacing. We've had some of the greatest finishes in PRL history with drivers going through there, and now we've got multi-class racing coming through. Looks like Jason Drescher was able to get through everything okay in the lead. He's expanded his lead, but in the middle of the pack here with Starker and Eric Kulaga and Michael Kulaga and a whole host of others, they're just reaching the meat of the traffic now.
Yeah, they're just reaching into the meat here at this point as they try to get their way on through. I expect some of these battles to separate out a little bit more as things go along. Lock up in front there for the 44.
Yeah, that's Kenny Gorman in the Porsche. We need some kind of mnemonic there. It's Kenny in the Porsche. It's Dan in the Mercedes. I still haven't figured out what that's going to be. I get them mixed up every single week. We'll figure that out one day. Eric Kulaga, another family driver. His brother Michael's a couple positions ahead, but Eric hasn't quite had the same speed in LMP3 car as his brother has. Eric is a champion of his own right in GT3 in the PRL. Moved over to LMP3 this season. Wanted to try something different with his teammates, and he's putting himself to the test here. This is the ultimate challenge if you want to learn LMP3.
Yeah, it certainly is. There as he tries to close down on Ian Starker, who's directly ahead of him right now. He's going to be able to get by this Mercedes GT4 relatively easily, but Starker able to scamper off into the distance, and that's just about that assertiveness that I talked about. Now, they're coming up behind right now. It looks like Pocari and Will Jennings, so they're going to have to figure out exactly where they want to make that move, and he's going to get stuck behind.
Now behind John Krauser, that's going to be tough. Ian Starker trying to get around Will Jennings. Will Jennings is in the red Mercedes. Nathan Jennings is in the black Mercedes. That's like 3 families now in this series. It does get very confusing at times, but Starker's going to get by. He's going to get lucky to catch him on the straight. Looks like Eric is going to get by as well. And speaking of corrections, Eric Kulaga, not a champion, unfortunately, in the GT3 Fix Series, a race winner in a Ford, and that is a champion to me, at least.
Yeah, that's an impressive feat. That Ford is very, very difficult to try to control here at this point. Let's keep our eye. Krauser coming up behind and getting attacked here by Gary Gainsel right now as Punkari's starting to slip off into the distance.
So I've never actually looked at this number 502 very closely, DJ. I just kind of assumed it was like a puzzle pattern that we've seen in the PRL. I don't know what that is. It's not Where's Waldo. Is it Peeps? Can we get a close-up shot of this, producer Dustin Allis? What is this car? We'll ride on board with Gary Gainsel, see if he can get a close look into turn 1, because I'm trying to figure out that pattern.
Yeah, it looks, frankly, very similar to a car that runs with me in SRO competition that I've seen many a time out on the track. That's an E-Boost.
Oh,
contact in front.
This way as broadside across the track. Baydard has just been getting bullied all day. As that time it was Will Jennings who gets into the side of him. And that got even closer than we were thinking in the battle of the 2 Mercedes.
Yeah, it certainly did. As we look back here, he's going to be able to get back and on his way. That's going to be a little bit of a solace there to him. He'll be happy about it, but oh, look at that contact.
Oh, and great avoidance there by John Krauser. We spent enough time looking at him. He knows he's on camera. He knows he has to look, but more importantly, we're not talking about racing here. That's not our job. We are livery identifiers. Here we go, rear wing. It's still not close enough. I still have no idea what it is.
I think it's puzzle pieces of some kind is what it kind
of
looks like.
They look so like round though. They almost look like Peeps. Or they're like okay here. Oh, they're cats. They're cats.
Okay,
it's a cat car.
There we go. We got it figured out. We got there eventually, folks.
Mystery solved. The problem was all of our cameras are upside down, so we had to turn one of them around to figure that out.
Yeah, exactly. It just gets a little bit harder for us sometimes, but we'll get there eventually. That is certainly the claim here on RaceSpot.
I'm sure somebody knows why he's in the cat car, but I cannot tell you what, because his teammate, he's on the Absolute Racing team. His teammate is Niall Drake. Niall is driving that BMW Art car, which is also a fantastic livery. Duncan Staroska, his other teammate. Here's him avoiding Baydard. It has been very, very scary in this first sector. That's already a tough enough sequence of corners with all the 90-degree corners and the massive curbs, but today, more often than not, there's also been a GT4 car broadside through there.
Yeah, there has been, so that certainly slowed down a amount of the cars. Now, this is where these LMP3s want to catch the rest of the field here. They want to catch them down the straights. It's through these twisty bits on this circuit that things get incredibly difficult, particularly down the back straightaway and coming down through turn 6 through turn 12. That is the danger zone.
Ooh, Carter James and Michael Kulaga getting to be friendly. The Echelon GT4 and the Vulture LMP3. Ted Lowendick just kind of roaming, just kind of lurking in the background as well in that purple Mercedes. GT4 has actually been shockingly calm in the top 5. For all the trouble in the middle of the field, for all the spins and all the contact we've seen, this sequence in the top 5, ever since Graham Wildman has had his trouble and fell down to 5th, it's been basically untouched.
Yeah, it's been basically untouched here at this point, and that is a big surprise for me, seeing this field just kind of calm themselves down a little bit. I think we're getting into the meat of the race, is here we've got a little bit of a move. That's LaRue trying to send it on Xanadakis, but Xanadakis puts up a fight.
And that was the Aston Martin there, I believe of Kalen Tobin or Duncan Staroska, just in the wrong place for Vincent LaRue. And now Michael Kulaga is going to be thinking about getting by. They just got by the GT4 leader, Justin Ream. Kulaga's looking for a way by into turn 1. It's not going to happen for him, but there's trouble for Steven Martinez, was running second. He's now down off the podium. What has happened to Martinez in LMP3?
It is shown as out of the race here at this point, and I'm not seeing a connection issue with it, so I've got to infer that, oh, no, it is. That is an internet drop there for him. We talked about that off air a little bit, Joey, that we've been seeing quite a few internet drops over the course of today in other series. It looks like it's come back to bite here in the PRL.
And unfortunately, unreliability, unlike in real racing, it doesn't come down to the cars. It does come down to the technology of the internet, though. This could almost be trouble. Carter James and Ted Lowendick side by side into turn 6. Lowendick backs out of it. Carter James says, thank you very much. I don't want to run side by side through there. And Ted probably thinks discretion is the better part of valor in that case. But they've got some inter GT4 traffic here. That's not LMP3 they're getting by or coming through. Those are GT4 cars that just happen to be a lap down, and that makes it even tougher.
And part of the reason for that is we've had a couple of takers in the GT4 field come down into pit lane thus far. So I think that's part of it. Speaking of that, Graham Wildman is going to be the latest to come down into pit lane.
Yeah, he's going to be the driver who kicks off the pit cycle, fancies himself a little bit of a risk taker. He was in P5. He actually caught Lowendick and James after their little kerfuffle, so he could be in with a shot of the podium still. Has some work to do to get back up there, though. It's good to see Nikos Sanadakis in this series. He's also a winner in PRL competition in GT3 machinery, I believe, but doing himself some new work in the LMP3 cars. Was here for round 1 of the season, missed the last 2, but it's a good thing he's back because he is en route to potentially getting his best result of the season, and one more drop in the top 3, and he's up onto the podium.
Yeah, and the way things are going, that's not out of the realm of possibility here at this point, Joey, although very, very wide run coming there out of turn 12. That was a little bit of a sketchy moment, and he is definitely going to be clinging on to that number 17 a little bit harder. That is a heart-in-mouth moment.
Coming up on Niall Drake in that art car BMW. Where's Sanadakis going to catch him? He's going to find him into turn 2, and Drake makes both of these guys' lives very, very easy. No trouble getting by that BMW, and now it's going to be LMP3 v LMP3. Sanadakis clonks the curb onto the back straight through what is technically turn 5, but it's just a dog leg onto the extent of the straight. We ride on board with Vincent Leroux. How close can he get before turn 6? Doesn't look like he has the straight line speed in him.
No, even with the effect of the draft, they're just not going to be able to close on in. He's going to have to hold back and wait another day. And with as ragged as Zanadakis is running here, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for it. Takes a big look coming around the outside there at that point. Now he's going to take a look to the inside as they come down into 11.
Here comes Leroux. He liked his chances last time. Some GT4 cars scuppered him. He's still there, but it's not going to happen. Sanadakis gets the run off the corner and continues to hold off Leroux. In battles like this, we have to remember this is an open setup series. You can choose whether you want to value downforce and be faster through the corners, or if you want straight line speed and be a little bit slipperier in a straight line. I think we're seeing that exactly here. Sanadakis so fast in the straight lines. Leroux could be a little bit later on the brakes, but those are meeting in the frustrating junction of neither car being able to get by.
Yeah, they're just caught here at this point. They're really not able to get anything to play whatsoever, and so they're just going to be stuck out here. And I think if you are Vincent Leroux, what you've got to do is just wait for some of this traffic in front of you to come into play and use that a little bit as a pick here on Nikos Sanadakis.
Sanadakis is going to get by Kalen Tobin there, and Leroux not quite so lucky. Look who's behind. Michael Kulaga is right there. Kwaknin as well, looking to pounce. Leroux once was in the fight for P4, and now he's in his own fight. It's a fight for P5. Kulaga's going to get around the Aston Martin. Kwaknin not going to be quite so lucky, but look for Michael into turn 1. If he can get the draft, he's been quick too.
Yeah, he's been very quick, but look at this. Here comes Nin down into pit lane. We've got some of the takers here in the LMP3 field opting to come down on in.
Jason Drescher, though, he was once 3 seconds in the lead, 4 seconds in the lead, but behind John Krauser, that lead is non-existent now. Nicholas Karangis has made up all of that gap. He's now within draft range, and he's one mistake from Drescher away from leading in the PRL.
How many times do we say it, Joey? The traffic giveth and the traffic taketh away. The traffic has taketh away, taken, whatever. I'm not going to try to go into Shakespearean language here, but it has not come out to help Jason Drescher. But now it looks like Karangis is going to be put on the back foot.
Karangis once again trying to get by Niall Drake. That BMW has been in the wrong place for some drivers, in the right place for others, and very much in the wrong place for Nicholas Karangis, who had the best look he's ever had, I think, in his Precision Racing League career. Jason Drescher got his first win 2 weeks ago at Rudskogen, got to add himself to the list of Precision Racing League winners. Nicholas Karangis has not done that yet in his career. So many races, so many good results. He's had a couple of podiums. How much would this mean to him to get his first win? He's only 1 second away from it now.
He's only 1 second away from it here, and he is going to be pushing to the utmost in that car, but he has got to keep it within the margins. Meanwhile, battle for P5 in LMP3. Kulaga and Starker stalking by.
Lots of shades of green in the field this year. You've got Kulaga in sort of the tealish, bluish green. I don't know, we might have to break out the hex codes on that, see exactly what that is. Ian Starker in the sort of military green, dull and a little bit olivey. I'm a big fan. Lots of good colors in the field here. But GT4 pit cycle is kicked off there as well. Race leader Justin Ream, he's been down. Cade Smith is down. Carter James is down. But lots of drivers electing to extend their fuel for as long as possible. Kalen Tobin and Adam Ostrich, Porsche versus Aston Martin. How about side by side to turn 6?
Oh, they're going to keep it out there. Tobin's going to be able to keep it ahead right now. The Aston Martin able to get the legs there, coming through the corner here as they try to keep everything together. Now coming down into the run through turn 10. Is he going to be able to hold on to this? I don't know. Yes, he is. All right, no look there from the Porsche at the moment.
Tobin resolves that. Bad news for Cade Smith fans. Bad pit stop for him. 24 seconds in the box. That's about 10 seconds longer than anybody else. He's dropped from second. He's dropped from third. He's dropped from fourth. When everything cycles out, he's likely going to come out behind Ted Lowendick. And Cade Smith, who was on the podium for the second week in a row, doesn't look like he's going to be quite so lucky unless something goes wrong in front.
No, I don't think he is here at this point. Right now, everybody just trying to hold on as much as possible as we follow Arcade Smith right now in a little bit of a battle. Sean Romig coming up behind him.
Ted Lowendick now bringing it down pit lane, so that's going to be the test. Can Ted maybe do a jump and end up on the podium? Pulls up all the way to the front, 5th in line in GT4. It's going to be a short stop for Ted comparatively, but we'll see where he blends out with Cade Smith. I tell you what, we have Ted Lowendick on speed dial this season. We can talk to him mid-race, and we haven't done that yet. Let's do this right now as Ted Lowendick comes out of pit lane. Where's the blend going to be with Cade Smith? Ted, how are you feeling coming on track right now? Oh, he's gone. Ted Lowendick is gone. Bad luck there, but Ted gets passed by Justin Ream. Doesn't get passed by Carter James, though. Ted Lowendick from 5th to 2nd in the pit cycle.
That's the way to do it, though. He's going to be able to keep himself in position as long as he is able to keep himself in a challenge here at this point and be within eye shot of those drivers in front of him. He is not going to be in the worst position possible, and indeed, he'll actually be in good position, I think, going forward.
Yeah, he's not even just in eye shot here. He's directly behind Justin Ream. Justin is not in control of this race anymore. He's got Ted Lowendick directly behind him in draft range and seemingly with a straight line speed advantage. Both of them get by Michael Doyle in the Watermelon Porsche, and now Ted Lowendick has the best chance he's ever had since many, many seasons ago to win a GT4 race in the PRL.
And rest assured, he is going to be pushing for it here at this point, but we have talked about Ream's dominance up at the front of the field. We haven't really seen him tested this season yet. Maybe Ted is the one to do it here on what is an altogether unique track. Is there some side-by-side farther back in the LMP3s?
Blue and yellow, or black and yellow versus black and yellow. That's going to be LaRue staying ahead of Kwok Nin, getting by Kalen Tobin and the Aston Martin as well. Kwok going to get aggressive and try and get around him into the final corner. Smoke getting thrown up everywhere as these tires really getting tested. The majority of the corners on this track are left-handers, and that has proven to be very, very difficult on the tires. But another thing we have to talk about here in this battle, Justin Ream, 17 seconds in the box. Ted Lowendick, only 12.9 seconds in that pit stop. Has he put enough fuel in, or was he able to just save that much fuel at the back of the train in the first stint?
Well, this is a track where you're able to get a decent amount of fuel saving done, but not in the traditional ways. It's much more lifting and coasting through the corners, so that could be possible. I'm not too worried here about Ted, though, because that 13-second stop, that runs in line with some of the slower stops that we've seen. But speaking of pit stops here, Joey, Drescher, Doucette, and Xanadakis down in pit lane for the LMP3s.
And this is the battle for the lead. Michael Kulaga is going to stay out for one more lap. He's not going to be in conversation here, but Jason Drescher versus Nicholas Karanges. Where's Karanges? You see him on the front straight in the pink and blue. Is he going to be able to get by Drescher into turn 1? I think he's going to be a little bit too far back to make it happen, but critically, he is there. A faster pit stop leaves him within 0.2 of Drescher, and he's on warmer tires right now. Look for Karanges to pounce.
He is going to be absolutely pushing here at this point, trying to see if he's able to get anything to play as they come onto the back straightaway. But a better run there for Drescher, and he's going to be able to hold his own coming down the back stretch.
But who's faster in a straight line? Karangis in the draft looks to be a little bit quicker. You can see the time on the side of your screen. All you ticker watchers seeing about a 1/10 of a second only with that straight line speed. Karangis still there and still putting the pressure on. They're going to catch Doug Evans, I believe, in the Mercedes. That's going to help Karangis yet again. Drescher checks up into turn 9, gets by. He's going to meet Robert McGee next in the McLaren. Drescher to the inside. Karangis is there, though. Can he find any way by, or is he going to be held up through the final corner? He is going to be held up once again, and Drescher breathes for just a moment.
He breathes for just a moment, and he's got more than a little bit of wiggle room. We look back on Nico Zanadakis trying to make a big move, contact there behind.
And this battle has not been scuppered by the pit cycle. Zanadakis, Kwoknin, and Ian Starker all find each other yet again on track, and once again through that final corner. I think Kwoknin is going to be wishing that final corner didn't exist, because I think every single lap he has found a GT4 car there, and it has only ever hurt him.
Yeah, it has never come back in a positive way for Kwoknin. And now as we look behind here, another little battle taking place. This is Kulaga and Precker as they try to sort themselves out for 9th place in the LMP3s.
Coming up on Carter James, I believe, or one of the other Echelon Sim Sport Mercedes. See what Kulaga can do on the 911. That's Joshua Burke, actually. And out of the final, or out of turn 4 rather, onto the back straight. It's going to be straightforward stuff for these two, but it's the battle for the top 10 for both of these guys. YS Motorsports not really fighting for the team's championship. Corey mostly on his own, still repping the brand though, with the shirt, still in VR as usual, and he's going to be fighting for this 9th place as if it was the win.
Yeah, he is going to be doing everything he can here at this point. We've seen how closely contested these battles are in this series. You want to try to get absolutely every point away you can from this series. And big move down to the inside. He's going to have to back it out, though.
I don't know if that was intentional, but that would have been a very, very big move for Mr. Corey Precker. Falls back. Discretion gets the better part of valor there. He's going to get back in line. But things are still so close in LMP3, even with Jason Drescher just scoring the fastest lap on that previous lap. He's still only 7/10 ahead. One incident with traffic, one little bit of getting held up as he's going to be right now with Tim McLeish in the McLaren. That brings Karangis right back in, and he's got to look for a place to pounce.
Yeah, he certainly does. He knows he's looking for it here at this point, and he knows he wants to try to make the move, but just not quite close enough. Drescher's going to be able to breathe a little bit easier for the moment.
Out of the final corner once again, Karangis in the draft, gets a better exit. He's within half a second. Will probably be a little bit too far back to go for the move into turn 1. Probably needs to be within that 2 or 1/10 range, but he's sticking with him. He's keeping him company, and that is the most important thing he can do right now. You see a little bit of clean track ahead of these guys. There's not much GT4 traffic coming up for a couple corners, and right now it becomes an LMP3 battle once again. Single make, no traffic. Who can be faster? Who can take full advantage of the most important corners?
Yeah, and that's going to be the question here as they run. Just try to sort themselves out here. Karangis doesn't look like he's got the straight line speed to really be able to hold on to it here at this point, and that could be a little bit of that setup issue that we talked about earlier.
Into turn 6, Drescher looking behind. Probably looking ahead, though, as there is some traffic coming up. Not immediately. He doesn't have to worry about them right now, but in a couple of seconds, Maxime David in the BMW. Drescher gets by him. Where's Karangis? Is he going to get held up into the final 2 corners? He is. Drescher gets through cleanly. Karangis has to go wide. And once again, Drescher wins out in the battle of traffic. Part of the benefit of being in the lead is you get to do that. But battle in GT4, Lowendick and Carter James. They tried to go side by side through here last time, and once again, Ted Lowendick says, I don't want to run side by side through here. You can have it.
All right, they're going to hold on to it here at this point and just continue to get themselves going right now. Let's see, Carter James, though, able to hold off for the moment.
Lap times only, you see it up at the top of your screen, actually 1 minute and 5 seconds. That means there's going to be about 4 laps to go at the line for these guys with the pace of the LMP3s. So this race is run by absolutely rapidly. I don't know where all the time has gone, but it is crunch time right now. So if you're going to make a move, you don't have much more time to do it, and that's why Carter James is breaking out the aggression, and you're going to see Nicholas Karangis breaking out the aggression too, as if he hasn't had enough of that. He's only got a few more chances. He's got to make sure to stay close up in LMP3.
Yeah, he's got to try to hold on to it here at this point. It sounds like we may have had something farther back in the field.
Michael Doyle in the Watermelon Porsche in trouble in turn 9. For once, it wasn't lap traffic causing trouble. Just a little bit of a bobble for Michael, and he has to wait for the entire field to go by. But you can feel the intensity here, DJ. As you see in the bottom of your screen, Carter James flashing the lights. He's got some traffic of his own ahead of him. That's Matthew Zerwick in the Porsche. That's GT4 traffic that these GT4 cars are passing, and he doesn't want to get held up. He's got a hungry Ted with a very scary banana behind him.
Yeah, he does. He is going to have to try to push here as much as possible. Here they go. Had a little bit of a look, not able to get it.
Ted may still be saving fuel. Got to think about that as well. Zerwick throws it off the road through the final corner, checks up James a little bit. Here comes Ted in the draft. Mercedes versus Mercedes, but two different setups potentially. James all the way up to the inside, ripping the Armco. Gonna make Ted Lowendick go the long way around. Who's gonna be later on the brakes? James or Lowendick? Ted's later on the brakes, but not late enough to make it happen. James hangs on the inside.
All right, James is going to hang on there for the moment. Let's see if anything else is going to be able to play off here as they go. Teddy holding in, trying to get that better run coming through the corner.
And both of these guys are going to be so unhappy because they were right behind Justin Ream. They were in the conversation for the win, but as they've battled, they've only lost that time, and now it is well and truly a fight for second between these two as Ream's pulled a 3-second lead. He's running away with this thing. A little bit of a block into turn 6 from Carter, letting them know that he's there, but the leaders have now reached Michael Doyle. Both of them checked up there. Karanges now as close as he's ever been, within 0.4 of a second down the back straight at the bottom of your screen.
All right, is he going to maybe have a little bit of a run here? We take a look at both of these battles farther up in the field. Lowendick trying to go around the outside.
Gonna find the laws of physics do not allow that, unfortunately. Not enough track space for him. We'll put that in the bottom of your screen. And the battle for the overall lead at the top. Drescher and Karanges getting by the number 922. No trouble for them. Very, very lucky to catch them right after turn 9. That means they're not going to get held up through the final corner. Karanges once again gets a better exit out of the final corner. He's within 0.4 of a second. With 2 laps to go now, Karanges is only going to get a few more chances.
All right, he's got to know that that is the point here, and now at this point, he's got to be asking himself if he's thinking about glory here today or if he's thinking about glory on the season.
Drescher's
wide. There he goes.
Drescher's wide into turn 1. Karanges around the outside, and for the first time ever in the PRL, Nicholas Karanges leads with 2 laps to go. Can he hold off Drescher, though, with the ultimate pressure?
We know that Drescher's an aggressive driver. We know that he is going to try to make that push here at this point, and they've got a little bit of traffic to deal with up ahead of them.
That's the Mercedes of Dan Gorman. Going to get by him with no trouble is Nicholas Karanges. Is Drescher going to be as lucky? Yes, he is, just barely to the inside into turn 6. But there is so much more traffic coming up. Both Jennings of Nathan and Will, double Mercedes, is going to be for the passing for Karanges. I think he's going to get a little bit held up there. Doesn't catch him fast enough, and Drescher's going to get a very, very, very big hand here to at least make sure he's within draft range as Karanges takes the white flag.
Yeah, here they go, and look at this. I like what I'm seeing there out of Drescher trying to pick up the draft from the 2 Mercedes in front of him.
There's more coming up. Jennings is there by the wayside, but Gary Gainesville's coming up. Carter James is coming up. That's not Carter James, that's his teammate in the other Echelon Simsport car. But Drescher only lost out there as Karanges hung on. You got the battle for 7th at the bottom of your screen. Jennings versus Romig. Jennings is going to get by, but Jason Drescher is running out of time. 7/10 back from Karanges. He needs to hope for some terrible, terrible luck for Karanges as he gets by Cade Smith in these final corners.
Yeah, that's what he's got to be praying for here at this point, to just see if that's going to play. But right now, it doesn't look like it is. He's just got to get by that one more Mercedes, and he'll have it in his hands.
Karanges needs the ultimate patience here. Gets by Cade Smith on the exit of turn 9. Drescher's not going to be so lucky. A couple more cars to go, though. Matthew Zerwick, Doug Evans, and that is going to be it. Out of the final corner. Has Karanges done enough? He's under the ultimate pressure. It's Drescher pressure, but Karanges withstands. And for the first time in the PRL, Nicholas Karanges is a winner. How many seasons has it been? GT3, LMP3, and Karanges can finally call himself a winner.
That has got to feel so good for Nicholas Couragous there at that point, but the battles are not done. Farther back in the field, Pankari trying to take a move, but an LMP3 looking down on the inside.
And that was Corey Precker going for the dive. Krauser throws it off the road, though. That's going to allow Pankari to get by. Will Jennings coming through. Pankari gets turned. It's going to be a wreck across the line. Krauser hangs on. Jennings steals P12. That was like a Talladega finish at Sandown for those guys. But Justin Ream, it has been a day in the sun for him in Australia. He has had no pressure since that James and Lowendick battle. It was a long pit stop for him. Maybe a fuel calculation mistake, maybe a little bit too aggressive in the first stint. But I don't think Justin Ream cares whatsoever, because for the 4th time in 4 races, Justin Ream wins in GT4, and that's an even 20 wins in the PRL for him. Not many drivers can say that. Not many drivers have a 2 in front of a double digit in terms of wins.
No, they certainly don't. Impressive stuff there for him to be able to get that to play. He is going to be a very, very happy driver.
Now tied for 9th all-time, if my math is correct, but that's always tough. Pankari trying to get out of the way, just trying to cross the line, and Graham Wildman, or Robert McGeehan rather, who was the last driver on the lead lap, eventually lets up to let Brett get going again and actually finish the race. So how nice for him, but what a race that was. Absolute craziness, and it ends in a first-time winner, which we always love to see. Nicholas Couragous finally gets it done and beats Jason Drescher, the championship contender himself. Greg Doucette rounds off the podium. That's going to be a big day for Throttle Thursday in their battle for the team's championship. Vincent Leroux, P4, an up-and-down day for him, ahead of Michael Kulaga. Nico Sanadakis, P6, ahead of Ian Starker, and Kwok Nin, Corey Precker, and Eric Kulaga round out the top 10 in LMP3. Michael Fowler, an up-and-down day for him once again. He needs to, I think he's going to be wishing for a simple day next week for once. He still finished on the lead lap, though. Callender and Salaputas 1 and 6 laps down, respectively. And then we get into the used car lot of cars with heavy, heavy damage. Steven Martinez, not much damage to his car, actually. Damage to his internet kicked him out. Daniel Kranifus, heavy crash for him, though. Dayton Lowe, championship leader. That's going to be a big hit for him. Even with Drescher finishing second, Lowe's got a lot to do to come back in this championship now. JP Alfonso, Joey Morissette, and Josh Kimball proved that it was not very good luck to be a J name today. They all ended up with heavy damage at the back. It was good for one J name, though, because Justin Ream continues to make himself a historical name in the PRL. His 20th win, tying Vincent Trepanier on wins. Carter James, a podium for him ahead of Ted Lowendick. They're probably going to be happy with that. Graham Wildman, last driver on the lead lap, who was actually the driver who backed up to let Brett Pankari cross the line. So good for him. Cade Smith, P5, 1 lap down. Burke, Jennings, Romig, Tobin, and Ostrich rounded out the top 10 in GT4. Krauser, Jennings, Pankari, Gainsel down to P14. Maxime David was just getting bullied all day long by other cars. And McLeish, Gorman, McGeehan, and Evans rounded out the drivers who were just 1 lap down. Matthew Zerwick had a tough day down in 20th, as did the other Gorman, Dan Gorman, Michael Doyle, Niall Drake, and Duncan Starostka. And very heavy damage for Jean-Sebastien Bédard. His day was done early, and Sean Mulholland was on admin duty. I don't envy him. That was tough enough in the booth. I'm sure that was tough for him in the admin booth. Still waiting for Nicholas Couragous to come by, so while we wait for him, let's go down to second place, at least for the moment, and talk to Jason Drescher, who just had an absolutely incredible battle there at the end. You and Couragous, traffic everywhere, no open track whatsoever. Talk us through it.
Yeah, it was honestly kind of a nightmare. Every single lap, just lost a lot of time. And I made a mistake, 2 laps from the end, which was my own fault, and gave up the lead. And yeah, kind of finished second, but it was fun nonetheless.
But even with finishing second here, if my interpretation of the rules is correct, with only 9 races in the seasons now, I don't believe there's any more drop weeks. So with Dayton having a bad day, this could spell some pretty good things for you in the championship. How are you feeling with you having survived today and Dayton not being so lucky?
I'm definitely happy about that. I'm not sure about the drops, so hopefully we still have a good battle. Dayton's really, really quick, so I got to be on my A game with that. But yeah, it's a lot of fun so far, and I look forward to the rest of the season.
I think I do have to correct myself, actually, because it's the oval side where there's no drop weeks now. The road side does still have a drop week, so good to clarify that. So it's still going to be a tense championship between you two guys. But Jason, we'll see you next week. See if you can go for win number 2.
Hopefully. Look forward to it. Thanks, guys.
Jason Drescher coming home P2 in LMP3, but we've got P1 in GT4 waiting for us. Mr. Justin Ream, as usual, it's a weekly tradition, gets to talk to DJ.
Indeed, Justin Ream back up here in the booth, but you had a little bit of pressure this time. Teddy Lowendick putting the moves on you at the end there, it looked like.
Yeah, a little bit. He had a really good pit strategy for saving fuel, so just trying to stay ahead and stay out of trouble.
Well, speaking of staying out of trouble, I mean, on a track like this, how difficult is it? How much do you have to have your neck on a swivel to be looking at those LMP3s coming up behind you on such narrow confines?
You definitely got to be paying attention, and then it takes a little patience from, I think, from both people, and some people had really good patience, and some people definitely did not have really good patience, so you kind of had to try to work through it together, I guess.
Well, work through it together, you did, and you did a great job. Are we going to see more of you next time out at Suzuka, a wildly different track than where we were at tonight?
Yeah, Suzuka will be a lot of fun, I think. It'd be a lot better track, especially with traffic as well. It's got a lot more space and a lot more room for overtaking.
Well, Justin, we look forward to being able to talk to you there, and hopefully we'll be able to talk to you on the podium once again.
All right, thank you guys. Take care.
All right, thank you. That was Justin Ream, your victor in GT4.
Keep the GT4 trend going here, because we've got second place in GT4. Mr. Carter James for Echelon Simsport P2. I'm sure you were wishing for a win being that close to Justin earlier on, but talk us through that battle with Ted. That was intense at the end.
Oh man, yeah, I got lucky there with traffic a little bit. Like, Ted was holding me back, and I was like burning up my tires trying to catch him. And that traffic there and that going onto the backstretch, like, I just got real lucky in how it worked out and was able to get around him there.
So it's a slightly more normal run to the end of the season, or at least the next couple weeks, with Suzuka coming up next, Barber, Hungaroring coming up. Are you ready to be a little bit more normal, or did you like the craziness of a track like this?
Oh man, I don't know. I made like 3 or 4 passes there through the dirt that I was like unsure if I was gonna like make it stick and not die. So I think I'm looking forward to Suzuka for sure. But yeah, it's been a good season so far.
Evidently, it's been very good to be a purple Mercedes. Are you counting that as lucky?
Oh yeah, for 100%. The livery change has helped a lot, and I mean the Echelon. I mean, big shout out to the Echelon team. I mean, they picked me up last year and like, you know, have helped me out like getting developed and getting this, you know, to this point in my career right now. So this has been fun.
There we go. Carter James coming home P2 in GT4. But we get to talk to one more driver. We talk all about Graham Wildman being a fan favorite, but dare I say, Ted Lowendick puts the rivalry to that, and he should hopefully be actually be able to be spoken to, and hopefully DJ can get in contact with him.
Well, hopefully we can. Teddy, a good run there for you, P2, and really putting the screws to the reigning champion here for a little while.
Yeah, I'm kind of mad. I lost P2 because I got passed by a couple of dentists. So no, that's rough. That was fun. The pit strategy worked out better than I expected. I didn't expect to be a couple tenths off of Justin coming out of the pits, and yeah, I think I lost a second and a half in the corners 2 through 4, and I just didn't feel like sitting around the outside there with Carter. And hats off to Carter for managing the traffic the way he did. Yeah, that was rough, but hopefully it was entertaining from a broadcast perspective.
Well, I can guarantee you it certainly was entertaining. Talk to me about that pit stop strategy, though. I mean, was that pre-calculated at all, or was that just kind of, okay, we're going to dive in and take this away?
Yeah, it was as soon as I did a couple official races, and you can't pass here. So, and in officials, you don't do a pit stop. So it's like, well, we'll just save fuel the whole time and see what happens. I didn't expect it to be that good. But I don't know if they got held up in traffic with as many cars that's on this track and how small it is and where you can get caught up and stuff. Maybe that played into it. But yeah, that was nuts. As you say all the time, traffic giveth and traffic taketh, but it taketh a lot today. So.
Well, that it certainly did. You know, we just had the chance to talk to the victor here in the form of Justin Ream, and he said Suzuka was going to be a little bit more of a welcome change. Is that how you're feeling about it?
I don't know. It's been a long time since I've driven Suzuka. I usually try to avoid it. We'll see how it goes.
All right. Well, we'll see how it goes indeed, my friend. Best of luck to you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right. right, that was Ted Lowendick from the GT4 category, Joey.
We have to go back up to LMP3 though, because Greg Doucette is here, P3 in the race today, a podium for you. But your teammate Nicholas Caranja's first win in the PRL. How good is that for Throttle Thursday?
Oh, we're pretty stoked. Yeah, that was his first win, and I had no business being up in the top 3. I have no idea what happened because I qualified 14th, but I'll take it. Yeah, I ended up misleading Nick to go to the wrong broadcast booth, so that's why he's not here. But hopefully you guys will hear from him at some point in the future.
I will send him the PRL Discord link and have him here. We got time before qualifying starts, so we'll see if we can get that organized. But about your own race, Craig, it was crazy to be an LMP3 car today. How did you avoid the majority of the trouble and end up on the podium?
Well, we did some practicing as a team throughout the week, just doing some ranked races, and yeah, it's not an easy track to weave between the GT4s because it seems like no matter where you are on the track, you're always getting checked up at some point or another. So it's just trying to not overdrive it and not find yourself in the back end of a GT4 or getting punted yourself. So a really unsettling race, but it's yeah, the result was good.
Was this the first win for Throttle Thursday?
It is the first win for Throttle Thursday, yep.
There we go. Now that I was thinking about it, because you've won a race, I believe, in the PRL, but I don't think Throttle Thursday ever had, so you guys might have to change your name to Throttle Monday now.
I know, not Timid Tuesday like you guys were joking about before.
Well, Greg, congrats on the podium. We'll see if we can get Nicholas during qualifying coming up here, but congrats to the whole team.
Excellent. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Greg Doucette coming home P3, and a first win for a team that has the most easily differentiable liveries, I think, in LMP3. That's a great story, DJ. We've seen these cars for season upon season, LMP3, GT3, GT4, and they finally got a win.
Yeah, it's always good to be able to carry on that story a little bit and see how they do. Love cheering for the underdog a little bit like that.
Got some underdogs coming up, though, because as LMP3 and GT4 come to an end, we have to prepare to take them to Suzuka next week. You heard Ted talk about it. He's not a big fan. There's a lot of drivers in the field who I think are going to be a very big fan of this place because it has a lot more room to get by lap traffic than Sandown did. So same time, same place here on RaceSpotTV. We hope you'll join us then, but I hope you won't leave us now because things are about to get even more fun. For the first time in quite a while in the PRL, we go to the Green Hell, the ultimate challenge, the Nordschleife, the combined layout of the Nurburgring will be the setting for the GTP LMP2 battle today. There's been a lot of drivers who have been a little bit scared of this. Some drivers who were too scared to show up, but still a massive field here of drivers ready to take on the longest track in the iRacing catalog.
Yeah, indeed they are. As we take a look at the schedule, this is kind of the outlier. From everything else, we're going to a lot of FIA Grade 1 style circuits. This is the one that is a little bit of the curveball.
Yeah, it starts to get a little bit more normal. You go to Sebring, of course. We're waiting for the 12 hours of Sebring coming up in the near future in a couple of weeks, or a couple of months, I guess technically. Spa, Aragon, Montreal, and Silverstone. Grade 1 tracks all around. And it's going to be very, very exciting to continue to track the progress of this season. Because so far, it's been up and down for some drivers. It's been mostly up for championship leader Pat Pelshaw. A win, a second win in a row last week, and he boasts the championship lead over his teammate Michael Diaz, over his teammate Nathan Bartley. Those guys were 1, 2, 3 at Daytona last week. Looking to continue that this week for PRE. Eric Palacio, Zach Hebert, they've had good runs as well. Daniel Harris had a very bad day at Watkins Glen. He's looking to come back from that. He's looking forward to week number 5 when those drop weeks start to come into consideration. Jeff Evans likes the fact that consistency is being rewarded right now, though, as he's up to P7. Skolny, Menino, and Williams down at the end of the top 10. Drop weeks are back in the Oval Series, by the way. I think that was a literally today change. Drop weeks are back in both series. But there's no drop weeks in the Teams Championship. Points for every race count for this, and Precision Racing Esports Blue, it helps to have the fastest drivers in the series that have won every race, DJ, except the first one, because they are 63 points ahead of SRT right now.
Yeah, it's funny how math works like that. If you just keep on winning, you're going to keep on getting good results in the Teams Championship there. So good results for Precision Racing Esports Blue, but as we said, this being the wildcard round, this could be the time for SRTE or Precision Racing Esports Black to maybe try to close in on them.
And it's not just the GTP series, it is the GTP LMP2 series, the double prototype top card of Monday nights, and Daniel Zegers has won 2 in a row now. He is on a very, very hot streak, making last season's champion Jack Hedgecox look human. Jack had a bad week last week at Daytona, didn't beat Zegers the week before either at round 2. So right now, Hedgecox has the toughest journey of his PRL career ahead of him to get ahead of Zegers and get ahead of Chinsky for that matter. Wallace has been very consistent this season, as has Caleb Lehman. Jeremy Carter looking for his first win. Matthew Carroll, Tabler, Wood, and Maltsev bring up the end of the top 10 in the driver's standings. The team standings still very close. Only 24 points separate the top 4. It's Precision Racing Academy, though, at the head of it all, ahead of the first Go-In Racing squad, the Ruby team, SRT Black, and Go-In Racing Sapphire, the main characters in that team's championship battle. But it's the Nurburgring today. It's the Nordschleife. That is a place where you can really shuffle up the results, because with a lap time 7 minutes long in GTP, a little bit longer than that in LMP2, there's a lot of time to be gained, and there's a lot of opportunity for an unknown to get up to the head of the field. But as we see one of the SRT cars going out for qualifying right now, there's still 6.5 minutes left to go, plenty of time, so we will actually get a chance to talk to our LMP3 winner from the previous race of the night. Nicholas Karangis is here, so we're going to get to him before we get into LMP2 and GTP qualifying. Nicholas, first win in the PRL, it finally came, and it was so dramatic in those final laps. What are the emotions like right now?
Still on a high, thank you. Yes, it's been, what, like 8 years?
Something like that. I don't have the exact numbers, but I'm sure it felt even longer for you. But when you saw that it was possible, you were directly behind Jason, within draft range. What were you thinking? What were the feelings like? Were you getting frustrated with traffic? Talk us through the whole of those final couple laps.
Super fortunate that the group of GT4s gave tons of space. Really, really respectful. It was a great race that way. In the final laps, they stayed consistent that way, which was amazing. Heart was pounding. It was intense, and wanted to go for that win, but just kept reinforcing in my mind to stay calm, be patient, and if it'll be, it'll be. And I think Jason just went a little hot in the corner one on the second last lap, and the opportunity presented itself to go for it.
But that is the first win in your PRL career. Is it going to be the first of many now? Is this the start of the duck being broken, and suddenly we're going to see the best Nicholas Karangis we've ever seen?
That's it. That's what we're hoping for, right? It's just the beginning.
Well, Nick, congrats on your first win. It's been a long time coming. First win for Throttle Thursday as well, and we will see you guys next week, see if you can do it again.
Thanks so much. See you next week.
Nicholas Karangis coming home with his first win ever in the PRL and LMP3. That whole team going to be very happy about that. But now we can finally move forward. We can finally pay closer attention to GTP and LMP2, because there's still 4.5 minutes left to go in qualifying. Still plenty that can happen. Chris Walsh is going to hope that he has time to finish this lap, though.
Yeah, he's going to hope to be able to put that together here at this point, but it's going to be a pretty bit of long run here as he goes, trying to work his way around the back half of the circuit right now. Again, through this part, Joey, we're really going to be talking about staying the course here for these drivers coming through the whole Nordschleife. When you get back onto the main area, when you get back onto the GP layout, that's when we can talk about passing.
And we're going to have to be full disclosure here. We're going to have to be totally honest. If you want people who have every corner at the Nürburgring memorized and can pick it out directly on site, I don't think you've got that booth with you tonight, but bear with us. We've got some of them in our mind banks here. Coming down the hill for Chris Walsh. I think the clock does look good for him. He can make it to the line if he completes the lap, though. You got to be careful not to throw it off the road, because there's so many places on this track where it's totally blind. You lose focus for 1 second, like coming down the hill here, and you're directly in the arm car. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, absolutely nothing you can do. You've got to just hope to be able to keep it all together and know where you're going, making sure that you're not going to make any mistake here at this point. That is really what it's all about on this part of the circuit. It is called the Green Hell for a reason. It is difficult, it is twisty, and it is the hardest test that any driver will face.
Excellent camera angles here. Especially in real life, when they set up the cameras here, it is quite an operation, and it's fantastic to see. There's every inch of this track is totally covered in the action here. Chris has been doing a great job here. It's been a good thing we get to see him, because We haven't seen him much so far this season. He's had some good runs, he's had some bad luck, but this is his chance to really show up, show that he has been practicing over the last week or so. He knows all 170 plus corners of this place. Nobody knows it better than Pat Pelshaw, though. He puts it up to P1 even faster than his previous lap. 3 seconds almost over Dave Menino right now. That is a guy confident around this track. But here comes Chris Walsh into the most famous corner on this track, the carousel, riding the banking for one corner.
One corner here, trying to see if he's able to get enough time. I don't think 2 minutes is long enough to be able to get his way back around, so he's going to have to start farther back in the field here at this point. Pelshaw is already off the track. A couple of drivers coming down the Dottinger Hoa right now to try to see if they've got enough time.
Yeah, I don't want to leave Chris Walsh too early, but we have got a message in the chat from Daniel Harris who says that Aiden Young is on a heater right now. I don't know if that's true. I can't vouch or deny that, but I think we will see Aiden Young coming to the line soon. We'll see if he has any improvements in the tank. Here he is, just in time, in the Acura, throwing it through the final couple of corners. A minute left on the clock. Michael Diaz puts it up to P3, but Aiden Young, he's got 50 more seconds in this lap or so, and then we finally get to see what he really has in terms of speed. It is an easier part of the track here, I think, the final couple of corners, and then you get into sort of the Le Mans style corners. Very high speed, 90-degree corner here, the other bit of banking that isn't the carousel, and one more corner until Aiden Young sees nothing but straight line to the end of the lap.
All right, here he goes, bringing it around here at this point. Let's see, it is full power down here at this point.
And you're going to see the line coming up. Not here on this long back straight. I believe it's going to be a little bit later, but what can Aiden Young do? Is it a heater, as Daniel Harris promised? The clock ticks forward, 7:07, 7:08. I don't think it's going to be an improvement for Aiden as he crosses the line. No, still ticking forward. He's not to the line yet, and he's past 7:11. Unfortunately, Aiden Young going to be staying P5, but still, to be within 4 seconds of Pat Pelshaw to be starting P5, that's going to be a pretty good accomplishment there for Aiden. No improvement from him. So let's go back to our old buddy Chris Walsh. Let's see what he can do.
All right, let's see if Chris has got anything to be able to pull this out. 25 seconds as he comes down the Dottinger Hoa right now. Going to work his way down through the corner. Let's see if he's got the run.
He's got the most TV time he's got all season, and now the ultimate pressure is on Mr. Chris Walsh out of the final corner, across the line. It's not going to be in consideration for pole for him, but it is going to be a lap across the line just in the nick of time. 2 seconds left on the clock. Chris Walsh will put it on the grid. He would have started on the grid anyway, but it's still good to get a time on the board for him. But that's going to be it for qualifying, and now we get ready for 40 minutes of racing in this series on one of the most difficult tracks in the world. 45 minutes, I should say, on the most difficult track in the world. But Pat Pelshaw, he's not finding it too difficult. Championship leader, almost 3 seconds over Dave Menino in qualifying. Michael Diaz and Boris Ovando make it. Precision Racing Esports Blue 1-3-4. Aiden Young, not on the heater we were promised, but still P5 is solid for him. And Ryan O'Connor, his best qualifying of the season, puts him in P6. Will Borland for Vice Motorsport starts P7 alongside Nathan Ray. I believe this is going to be Will's third start of the season. I thought it was his first. I was totally wrong. Mark McDonald puts it on the fifth row alongside Chris Walsh, and J.R. Williams and Anthony Dring round out the top dozen. Unlucky 13th goes to Eric Palacio. He starts alongside Calvin Myant. Jeff Evans and Adam McDonald on row number 8 start ahead of Zach Hebert, lower than he would have liked, and Darian Roy was not able to get a lap in qualifying, nor was Nicholas Schwartz, nor was Mark Kalin, nor was Grigor Georgiev. You'll also notice no Bradley Holly there. I think he's still resting after being at the 24 Hours of Daytona this weekend. Jack Hedgecox puts it back on pole. Mentioned he's got an uphill battle in the championship, and he has done the ultimate task to put it on pole at the Nordschleife. But Nicholas Goen, looking for his first win in the PRL, starts ahead of Daniel Zegers, championship leader, and Jeremy Carter, P4. Matt Carroll and Doug Sorrentino round out the top 6. But the hits keep on coming because Andrew Wood has had his best qualifying of the season in P7 alongside Joshua Chinsky. Michael Belair and Caleb Lehman round out the top 10 ahead of Luke Wallace, and a new addition to this series last week, Frankie Arvello, a winner in the PRL elsewhere. Karsten Quint and Blake Ziti make up row 7 ahead of Nathan Mon and Reagan Chandler, the lead Chandler. John Leedy was the last driver to set a lap in qualifying. Then we get into drivers who weren't quite so lucky, but we will likely see them on the back of the grid. Edward Vardanessian will start P18, Matthew Falk, P19, and Ryan Chandler, the second of the two Chandlers, a couple spots behind his brother, round out a 41-car field here at the Nordschleife. Consider yourself lucky it's not a full pace lap. We might be here for an extra 45 minutes, but in only a couple of seconds, DJ, we are going to be going racing at the ultimate challenge for these prototypes.
Yep, and this is going to be very, very difficult here for these drivers at this point to get themselves around, to make sure they are not going to have any problems here at this point. They need to be careful. They need to make sure that they put themselves in good position.
And I got to be honest, DJ, I'm very impressed because there's been 29 drivers who have started a race in this series this season. On the grid right now in GTP, we've got 17 of them. That is a pretty solid percentage at a track that some people say is too much of a challenge. It's been taken off of PRL calendars before because it is such a challenge. It takes so much practice to master this place. But we have got a very, very solid contingent of drivers here. In LMP2 as well, for that matter. Everybody in the PRL, or a solid percentage of people in the PRL, they're ready to take this on.
They're ready to take this on. I'm excited by this challenge, and I love the fact that we're running the full combined layout here, Joey, because that allows for overtaking to really take place down into that sort of standard Grand Prix layout. That's where it is. It's all about just keeping up and keeping behind the driver in front of you, set yourself up on the Dottinger Hoa, and dive it into the Mercedes Arena section.
These are going to be the last moments of break, the last moments where you don't really have to focus right now, because in only a matter of seconds, you're going to be full focus all the way to the end of this race. There are no places to breathe. You can breathe on the back straight for a second, but you're still thinking about the rest of the track coming up while you're back there. But on pole today, Pat Pelshot, championship leader, winner of the last two races in succession. He is the controller of this championship right now, and he's the controller of this start. What can Dave Menino do? Could he potentially win his first race in this series? We got 45 minutes of racing ahead. Sheer driving pressure, sheer driving pleasure on the board up on the top, and that's what we're about to see here as the Precision Racing League goes racing at the Nordschleife. But first, it's the GP layout. Into turn one, to the inside comes Michael Diaz, makes it a Precision Racing Esports 1-2. There's a big dive by Aiden Young and one of the Rust Racing GTPs as well through the Formula One part of this track. This is where it gets a little bit less dicey. Drivers have tons of experience here through the stadium section. They're still finding a way to make it 3 wide though.
Still trying to make a way to make it 3 wide as the LMP2s get their way down into it here at this point, trying to push their way on through. Let's see what they've got as they work their way down into the hairpin.
Pat Pelshot in control on the left side of your screen, side by side, coming through the coming through the forward curve rather, are Aiden Young and one of the SRT cars, I believe. We're trying to resolve this. Coming down into the Dunlop curve, Aiden Young gets ahead of Ryan O'Connor, actually one of the Precision Racing Academy drivers, and that's going to be Aiden Young holding on to P5. LMP2, they took the green flag when GTP took the green flag, but Darian Roy in big trouble with one of the Piston Pirates cars. That's McDonald.
Oh my goodness gracious, that is some problems there already, and we haven't even gotten to the Nordschleife yet.
Yeah, that is going to be a painful lap back to the pits there. But in LMP2, they took the green flag when GTP took the green flag. So Jack Hedgecox was able to get a pretty solid jump, a second over Nicholas Goen. But things are about to get even more dicey as Mark Kalin finds his way back on the track. Hedgecox is going to pass him here. He's going to pass the damaged Darian Roy as well. And these LMP2s are very fast in a straight line. So he's going to be closer to Mark Kalin than I think he would like coming into the chicane.
Yeah, very, very quick there with that Porsche doing its best Peugeot impression here as it comes down through the final chicane, and they lead their way back out onto the Nordschleife, taking the left-hander here to head into Sabine Schmidt, and there's Nicholas Schwartz having it off.
Trouble into Hatson back for him. He's going to get it going, but at the back of the GTP field, Hedgecox is going to be frustrated here. It's almost like a Long Beach situation because he's got Mark Kalin ahead of him, but Mark was not faster through this first sector in a GTP car as off the road, big time, Daniel Zeggers goes rallycross mode there. I believe doesn't have any damage, but that was a very big off for him, and he's got to do it again. He's got to try and stay out of the way.
Yeah, he's got to try to stay out here at this point. Zager's just falling back down through the order. He's going to settle out into about 33rd overall.
Big damage on the left side there. Looked okay from the other side, but he is very, very damaged. He's not going to be able to make it all the way around, and he knows that. He parks it up, and that is so unfortunate. Championship leader Daniel Zegers, this may have to be his drop week if he's not able to get that back around, and you can already see he's towed it back to the pits. This will be his drop week if he can't get it back out there. That's a very, very long tow, DJ. It takes quite a while to get back there, and you've got to complete 50% of the race to even be classified in the PRL. He's got a job ahead of him.
Yeah, and that's going to be at least 10 minutes of a drop there. I think that's Chris Walsh having it off there coming up through the corners.
It's not the way he wanted to get TV time today. Got a lot of him in qualifying. Unfortunately, we've already got a lot of him in the race. Does he have any damage? It looks okay from the right side. We know that's been an illusion before. It is very much not good on the other side. He can't get it turned coming down the hill.
Oh, man, just a little bit of damage there. The Carolinian going to take it out and take it. So side by side, farther back in the field, this is Luke Wallace that we watch right now. Wallace trying to be able to hold on as he works his way forward. The LMP2 is working their way through the corners.
This has been a shockingly calm start for the LMP2s. Other than Daniel Zegers getting into a little bit of trouble, these guys have been totally clean up through the top 10. A little bit of trouble for Mark McDonald in GTP. We'll see what happened to him when we can, but he is not quite out of the top 10. He is down to P10, though, and he was up in P6. It was a good day for him until it ran into trouble. But here's what happened to the first GTP loss. It was Darian Roy and one of the piston pushers cars into the hairpin. Boop.
Big look down to the inside. That's going to be enough to spin Roy right around. And there you see just that little bit of a contact with the rear wing. That's enough to cause the damage. The new damage model here on iRacing doing wonders and doing exactly what it's supposed to do.
I did just realize, by the way, I said piston pushers again. It's piston pirates, but for some reason in my mind, they're the piston pushers. As there goes Mark McDonald. Is he going to save it? Not quite. Little bit of contact with the Armco, or a lot of bit of contact with the Armco, but that was almost spectacular in the save for him, but he's going to be done as well.
He's going to be done as well. Meanwhile, we do have a little bit of a battle here starting to form. This is Nathan Ray with Ryan O'Connor right behind him, trying to put that pressure on. And we normally talk about here over the course of a racing season, putting pressure onto the driver in front of you as they go down through the carousel and the mistakes that can lead to. It is all the more crucial here at the Nordschleife. Those little mistakes, they are absolutely punishing.
I think Nathan Ray's going to be thinking a little bit like Spandau Ballet right now, because he's having enough pressure just trying to navigate this track side by side a little bit deeper in the field. Anthony Dring, Zach Hebert, Jeff Evans, all trying to resolve things, and Mark Kalin very, very hard into the wall. We don't even need to see what happened there, because you can imagine that Mark Kalin's day at the Nordschleife, he's probably happy it's over already.
Yeah, he's probably happy here at this point as they got themselves into trouble and trying to sort themselves out a little bit as there they go. This battle's starting to rage a little bit more.
It's Michael Belair in the 33, Luke Wallace behind. Luke gets a little bit over the curb, though. We had those big curbs at Sandown earlier tonight, DJ. Those were tough enough when you're dealing with them at low speed. These are very, very high curbs, and you're dealing with most of them at very, very high speed. It's so easy to get Tony Hawk mode. You ollie over them. You get the table on the bottom of these cars, the floor, off the ground, and you just can't steer.
Yeah, you really can't, as there is McDonald having the exact same problem there. I think that is a result of the curbs as well.
The Piston Pirates cars, they've actually found each other on track. His teammate Grigor Georgiev directly ahead, but they've also found Jack Hedgecock's behind. Here's what happened to McDonald, though, up over the top of the hill and into the Armco. It has not been a good day to be named McDonald, or O'Connor for that matter.
Yeah, big problem there at that point, as there you saw him get around. Take a look at what the rest there of the field is doing here as they just caught the curb a little bit wrong. That was O'Connor.
And yet again, flat floor, high curb means fulcrum there. Sorrentino got into trouble as well. Here's Doug through the corner. Oh, and that is just, oh my goodness. That's the hardest one we've seen yet. And another big bounce across the line, or across the track rather, and Luke Wallace got very lucky there.
Yeah, very, very lucky. That was not a bigger incident there at that point here as you see him getting into those problems. Now they're going to come back onto the more straightaway sections of the track. Here they go.
Alvin Myant train right now. Ryan O'Connor, Eric Palacio, Jeff Evans, Zach Hebert, and a whole host of others. Let's see what O'Connor can do into turn 1 here, though, on Palacio. Doesn't look like he has any damage from his little incident. Can he recover on the GP layout into turn 1? Ryan peeks to the inside. Acura versus Acura. Palacio's later on the brakes, though. He's going to hang on for the moment.
He's going to hang on here for the moment. They bring their way back into this Grand Prix layout of the circuit. That's going to help them out. Whole big lockup in front, though.
Here comes Palacio on Myant to the inside through the Mercedes arena. Palacio's going to take that one, and Ryan O'Connor's going to try and make it happen around the outside. Better run off. O'Connor's going to be through as well into the top 10.
All right, that's going to put him up into position here at this point. Let's see what they can do. Again, this is the area where they can actually make the attack.
And in the midst of this GTP battle, excuse me, you notice one driver who isn't here. It's a driver who's still in the YouTube chat, Mr. Daniel Harris. I wish he was here because this is crazy in the middle of the field. Jeff Evans takes a peek to the inside of Myant. Nothing doing there. Anthony Dring takes a little bit of a bite out of the gravel, but this is distinctly missing a Daniel Harris, DJ.
Yeah, it distinctly is. I think Daniel was a little bit scared of the ring. Can't say I blame him. I am not one to race this, as we've got a little bit of side-by-side here going on, as that is going to be putting down that LMP2, but now it looks like problems for Menino.
Dave Menino started on the front row, and it has all gone downhill here. A little bit of damage on the right side of that car, or is it just a slowdown? I think he may be lucky. It might just be a slowdown as he tried to get through the chicane, almost loses it coming up onto the Nordschleife. But with 2 spins and 2 offs, somehow he's getting away with an absolutely clean car.
Yeah, I mean, that is very, very tight quarters there, and he is going to be white-knuckling that car, I can guarantee you. Meanwhile, watching this battle right now, Borland and J.R. Williams, as they work their way down through Hohenheiken right now.
JR, driver admin on the roadside at times. See what he can do in a battle condition with Mr. Will Borland. JR also did win a race last season at Watkins Glen in the Formula C series, but he's not going to be making any overtakes here. I don't think he's going to be looking at P7 until they get to a more opportune moment. He's closing very, very quickly, but does JR fancy his chances? I don't think he does. I think he fancies survival and making it to the end of the race instead, so he's going to wait for a little bit of a safer spot.
Oh, but we do have a little bit of side-by-side. That's going to be O'Connor and Palacio.
And O'Connor hangs on, but down the hill. Got to get on the brakes hard. Got to make the corner. O'Connor a teensy little bit wide, but doesn't matter at all. He's made the corner, and he's made P9. Big time as well on Palacio through there. It's such a tough track because it is 170-plus corners. You saw the difference in qualifying. It was almost 20 seconds from first to last in GTP. You can be fast through some parts of this track, and then you can be slower through 40 others. It is such a difficult place to master.
Yeah, it really and truly is. I mean, we're talking about over 100 corners here on this circuit. Just so difficult to be able to memorize all of them, to know what's coming up next. It is the ultimate test of a driver's mental acumen.
By the way, Daniel Harris says in the chat he's not scared. He just doesn't feel like driving around for a lap and binning it.
That's fair.
I think that counts as scared, though.
Your words.
Just scared of binning it. But we will see Daniel Harris back next week. He says he's going to win from the back at Sebring. I'm looking forward to that because that sounds pretty exciting. We ride on board here with Luke Wallace, though, behind the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Mr. Michael. And Luke's been pretty spectacular as well. He's had some scary moments in the first lap or two, but he's still here, still undamaged, and still looking for P6.
Yeah, still looking for P6 at this point, just putting the pressure to the back of Bel-Air. Oh, is Moreland having it off?
Wait until we see the front end of that car to see if he got away with it. Looks like he's okay. It looks decent, but let's see here. Coming up over the hill, little bit wiggly, little bit of curb, and a little bit of Armco, but it could have been worse.
Yeah, there's just some damage on the right front of that car. There you can see it. It's a little bit deceptive because the paint scheme is black over the top there, but I think there's just a little bit of carbon cut away.
Now O'Connor going to get through there. Daniel now says he wants Formula C back. Well, Formula C not coming back. I've heard some rumors and some ideas that there will be a second series on Thursday nights next season. Oh, Nicholas Schwartz off in the Armco very, very heavily. Scrapes half of the paint off that car. Almost does it again in the grass, recovering. He's going to keep going. Doesn't look like there's too much damage from that, but that was yet another off through one of the scariest corners on the track.
Yeah, I mean, these drivers just getting more and more lucky here with their escapes is really and truly what I have to say, that they just continue to try to get their way around it and just making very, very close getaways.
As I was saying about the Formula C series, that was a long-running series in the PRL with Formula 3 machinery. Didn't quite happen this season. There wasn't quite the interest, so it got canceled. Formula D is on its own on Thursday nights this season with the Formula 4 cars. But next season, we've heard that it may be a two-series night once again. Formula D with the Formula 4 cars will likely still be back, but there may be an upper card there with a new car potentially. I don't think I can say any more than that because that's not resolved yet, but anybody who looks to race on Thursday night may be in luck. And that's going to be yet another thing to add to the PRL. I can't imagine asking for anything else. We've got top-level prototypes. We'll have top-level open wheel. We'll have top-level GT3, and we've got every NASCAR series in the world. That's everything. What's missing? Other than dirt, I guess.
Yeah, other than dirt, that's about it. So here they go. As we watch Aiden Young and Dave Menino. Menino on that charge here at this point.
And Dave just trying to recover, which is tough to do. He had two spins coming onto the Nordschleife, and he's basically had this entire lap to try and recover. But in the draft of Aiden Young, pulls to the outside. He's going to try and pull a NASCAR-style side draft, as this is essentially just two oval back stretches put together here. And I don't think it's going to happen for him yet. He had the straight line speed in the short term, but Young is doing a good job of keeping him company. Menino is going to be clear, though. He pulls over to the left, and just in time, Dave Menino up into P4 ahead of Aiden Young.
All right, there he goes. The recovery drive continues here for Dave Menino. The problem now is that he's got about 4.2 seconds to try to get his way back forward. Looks like Hebert had a little bit of a problem, though, farther back in the field.
That was a big bit of a problem there. I think the rear clip of that car ended up in the forest, but Zach Hebert, big trouble for him. It was a good day for Echelon and GT4, not quite so good in GTP, unfortunately. And Nicholas Schwartz, another driver who may be happy to be put out of his misery with some heavy damage. Speaking of damage, Blake Ziti slow coming into the carousel, or not coming into the carousel rather, but through the second to last corner onto the straight, and he got some big air there.
Yeah, he did some very big air. The rear wing of that car was dislodged for a moment. The SRT machine probably suffering some damage here and could be losing a little bit in a straight line down the Tottinger Hoa.
Let's see if he can even survive here, because that could be a bouncy old car. There could be some suspension damage there. He's got Karsten Quint directly ahead of him, stealing the draft. Looks pretty quick in a straight line, though, so he may be less damaged than we think. This is also an open setup series, by the way, so you can decide, do I want to value my racing speed in the 170 corners of the Nordschleife, or do I want to be fast here in this very, very long straight? It's looking like Frankie Arvello said, I want to go fast, and he's going to get by Nathan Mon.
Yeah, he's going to get by him here at this point. Arvello clearly taking a more aggressive approach on that setup as Mon's going to try to hold in behind, but Arvello still looking like he's sneaking away a little bit. They're going to close up under braking. On that straight line speed, Arvello just has the less drag to be able to make it play.
And that's John Leedy behind as well. He only got one lap in qualifying, and it wasn't really representative. Now we're starting to see him come back. Old John behind Nathan Mon. He could be up into unlucky 13th. Does he decide to go for it into turn one? Not quite. John Leedy, not so greedy. He's going to wait for a better opportunity.
Yeah, he's going to wait on it here at this point. Nathan Mon going to be able to hold out. We check back in on a battle up for P2 in GTP as Diaz and Ovando, the two Acuras, all over each other.
Now, we haven't talked much about the leaders in the two classes. Pat Pelshaw, 6.5 seconds in the lead in GTP. Jack Hedgecock's 3.5 seconds in the lead in LMP2. But the battle for second is just as exciting behind the lead. Half a second separate these two. A lot more points separate these two in the championship, as Boris hasn't quite had the luck in the opening rounds of the season, but he'll get to use that drop week. He'll get to lose the week where he had internet trouble at Long Beach and dropped out early. if he can get ahead of his teammate Michael Diaz, he may still be in championship contention, and he'll still be happy with a podium either way.
Yeah, he'll still be happy if he's able to hold on to a podium. I think walking away with a podium here at this point is going to be absolutely something to hang your hat on.
Within 2/10 now, he's so close, but it's a real test of driver ability and driver conservativity, if that's a word. You can have the opportunity to make a move through so many places on this track. You can be close enough to go side by side, but it's an intelligence test sometimes. See, do you want to go side by side through there, or do you want to just ride in line and wait for a safer opportunity? I think Boris Ovando has taken that in stride and said, you know what, I'm going to wait for a better opportunity. I'm going to stay close, and when time actually comes, I think I'll go for a move.
Yeah, I think that's probably the way to do it, and that's probably the smart way to do it, to just hold on here at this point. Speaking of leaders, though, we focus in on Jack Hedgecox right now as he makes his way around right now. The Going Racing Ruby driver doing a great job building up that gap of about 3.7 seconds.
He's got a friend up there. That's Grigor Georgiev, I believe, or Adam McDonald, one of the two Piston Pirates cars. It's probably McDonald we're hearing. So Jack may have a little bit of a buddy with a damaged GTP car in front of him soon.
Yeah, he might, and that's going to be helpful when he comes down the longer straightaways on this circuit. But remember, these are high downforce cars here, Joey, so he's going to lose a little bit of that downforce efficacy when he comes through some of the corners, and that could end up being a little bit of a problem for him.
If you folks at home weren't with us last week, Jack had probably his most human race ever in the PRL at Daytona. Didn't have a great qualifying, started, I believe, 8th or 9th in LMP2, which is way lower than he ever is, and then just didn't have the day he wanted, crashed, ended up 6 laps down. He still finished the race, technically, because he finished over 50% of the laps, but that was Jack's first real moment of badness in the PRL. His first season, or his first full season last season went so well, dominantly won the championship, won half the races, but now he's got to show another mark of a champion in coming back from adversity for the first time.
Yeah, he's got to see what he can do here at this point to be able to fight back, get his way back up in the championship. And remember, I said if he can just keep it on the track here at this point, he's going to walk away with a good result, not only for himself, but for the team on the day, and that's going to be huge.
There's about 5 drivers behind him. We're hoping that doesn't happen, though, because you've got Jack Hedgecox in the lead. He's won 6 times in the PRL, I believe. Goen has never won. Carter has never won. Carroll has never won. Belair has never won. And Luke Wallace has never won. All these guys, I think, know that they probably don't have the pace of Hedgecox here. They saw that gap in qualifying, but they're hoping that one of these corners bites, as it could for anybody, because that would mean a first-time winner in LMP2 as well. But Jack wants to make sure that doesn't happen, as John Leedy in the similarly painted car, he's finally run into trouble.
Yeah, finally running into trouble there at that point. Unfortunate there for him. There we see that is going to be the number 75 able to get his way on by. That's Ryan Chandler that was able to make that pass.
Yeah, Chandler, the only Chandler left on track. Unfortunately, fans of Reagan Chandler, you're not seeing him anymore. He had some early trouble. I think on the first lap, he's already towed back to the pits, and he is out of the race. So Ryan, a lonely boy here. Let's see what happened to Leedy, though. Big speed into the corner, and unfortunately, there was a braking zone after that.
Yep, just a little bit too much in there at that point, and that's going to put him back into rough position. We saw exactly what happened to him. Pat Pelshaw right now, though, up at the field. He doesn't have any concerns as he runs. He's looking in very good position.
He's got to be pretty lonely right now. 8 seconds over his teammate Michael Diaz right now. When he crosses the line, it's going to be 4 laps to go. Pat is going to be, I hope he's got some music on, or I hope he's talking to his teammates or something, because he's having a very lonely day today.
Yeah, he's having a lonely day up at the front of the field, so
his teammates aren't.
Oh, there comes the battle.
Ovando in the gray or the silver, Michael Diaz in the blue. Ovando to the inside, becomes the outside through the next quarter, but Ovando up into second over his teammate Michael Diaz. Michael's going to try and switch it back, though. The long front straight coming up. Can Diaz get back on his teammate and send the dive into turn 1? Certainly going to be hoping so. In the draft, 0.2 of a second separate the two. Who's going to be braver on the brakes into turn one, though? Here comes Diaz to the inside. He looks at it. He thinks about the move, but Ovando on the outside. Is he going to get the better drive off? He's going to have the inside into the arena section. Diaz swoops it around the outside, though, and hangs on to P2 for the moment. It's not over yet, though.
It's not over yet here as they continue to go, trying to see what they're able to do. They're going to keep battling through the corners.
And they can see they've got a 3.5 second gap over Menino. They can afford to battle here and have a little bit of fun. Ovando looking for it to get around the outside, coming down the hill. He's going to take it back, but Diaz going to think about the switchback. Can he get back to the inside of his teammate and send it into the hairpin? It's not going to be quite so lucky for him this time. He's going to slot back in line for just a moment. But the pit cycle is kicked off, actually. Will Borland is in the pits. I think all these guys will probably pit the next time around, so we don't have to think too much about that. You can afford to do your battling on track and not think about pit strategy right now.
Yeah, I don't think you really have to worry about it here about this point. Everybody's pretty much going to be pitting around the same time.
Yeah, the only thing you can do is save a little bit of fuel and make that stop a little bit shorter. But Diaz still as close as can be. You're not going to get DRS here like you would in a Formula One car back at this track, but not quite so lucky in GTP machinery. You got to do the racing the old-fashioned way. P7 for LMP2, getting very close. SRT versus PRE. Caleb Lehman versus Andrew Wood. Wood fancies himself a little bit smarter and doesn't go side-by-side through those final quarters. He is, just like everybody else, just going to wait for a better opportunity. Instead, his opportunity is actually coming down into the pits.
All right, there he goes. He's going to come back into pit lane here at this point. Let's see what he's able to do.
I'm sure Woods turned probably a solid percentage of laps in consideration to the rest of the field. I'd say if we ranked every driver in the field based on amount of laps at this track, I'd be willing to bet he'd be pretty far up there. A lot of experience in iRacing in general and also at this track. But Boris Ovando's probably turned a lot of laps here. Michael Diaz has probably turned a lot of laps here. The PRE guys, I might have to ask them at the end of this race, how many total laps have you turned around the Nordschleife? Because these guys they're endurance experts. It's probably a lot.
Yeah, I mean, this is the perfect kind of example that you just sit there and you click off the laps here, Joey, and that's really and truly the way you want to try to do it.
Gonna be a little bit too far away from each other for any racing here, so we'll let them continue on. I'm looking down the order to see if there's anybody who's doing anything exciting, and Ryan O'Connor has actually given us something very exciting. He's provided his VR feed yet again. It's good to see that. Back, and it's actually quite synced to the feed we're seeing, so we can actually see his perspective from his eyes in VR and exactly where he is on track at the same time. It's a great feed to see.
Yeah, it really is. I love these different ways that we are able to see all of this to really get an idea of what this looks like, and it just gives you so much of a better idea of what it actually is.
And that's J.R. Williams ahead of him, so you can see his eyes are pretty well focused on the back of JR's car. Takes a peek to the inside, just a different entry into that corner. I don't think that was actually an attempt at an overtake. But there's not a lot of movement for Ryan. He is very, very focused. He's looking ahead. He's not looking at his dash. He's not looking at his black box. He's looking forward, and he's laser focused right now.
Yeah, just laser focused in, and that's what you've got to be when you're running around the Nordschleife. You cannot take your attention off at anything here at this point. You've got to just keep everything together.
We have a little bit of a carousel of entertainment in this series. We've got less cameras today than we normally do because Bradley Holly has not shown up today. We gave Daniel Harris a little bit of shame. We got to give Bradley Holly some shame as well. He was at the Rolex 24 this weekend as a fan. You know, good for him, but I bet his flight has landed by now. I bet he's back home. Where are you, Brad? Why aren't you out on track?
Well, I think for him, it's probably just a situation if he's tired and didn't get the ability to be able to get enough sleep and practice. I'm just trying to give the man an out.
Excuses, DJ. Excuses. You telling me this guy's got 119 PRL wins and he can't come out here? Excuses.
I mean, yeah, you're right.
I bet there's somebody out. Mark Kalin is on track right now. I would say if he was out of the race, he could probably call up Brad right now and tell him we're shaming him live on air. I do have to race with him again on Wednesday night, so I might get the bad side of that there. But other cameras in the field, I think Ryan Chandler still has one, or actually maybe the 42 of Caleb Lehman. We always get to see his background, and there it is again. You can't see the Saturn V rocket anymore, but there's something back there. Looks like a helmet and some credentials or something.
Yeah, I think it is. I'm not sure what that is. It looks like kind of one of the old kids' helmets. You know what I mean? Like that you would give to a kid to be able to do.
Yeah, but I can't tell if that's like a racing credential or something. We'll have to see if he ends up on the podium. We might get to talk to him. But there's the googly eyes. We always love to see them. He says they're worth a second a lap. I think that's probably true. It's more helpful on other tracks when that second actually means something, but at a track like this, when I think first and 10th were separated by about 7 seconds, that 1 second does a little bit of help, but not as much as you would like.
Yeah, not nearly as much as you would like to be able to get your way around. But now we watch the battle between J.R. Williams and Ryan O'Connor. O'Connor just trying to be able to push as much as possible and get that pressure to the back of him as much as he can.
Fans of geography just absolutely love this place because it is topology at its finest. You're going up, you're going down, you're just dropping off hills. Because this place was designed based on the geography of the land. This is not a track that they just found whatever flat piece of land happened to be open. They went out and put the track where they could and built it up and built it down and built it down into the valleys. This is not a cookie cutter or a flat track. You are dealing with. I should probably check how many feet of elevation change, because I imagine total it's probably in the hundreds or thousands.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. It's definitely one of those things that I'm not sure about. That this is not my specialty when it comes to a track, I'll tell you that.
It's not J.R. Williams' specialty either, apparently. Off the road through the second carousel, and Ryan O'Connor, nice and easy, gets to take that before he even gets to the back straight.
Yep, he's going to be able to get that done. So good run there for him. He'll feel happy about that.
And maybe we'll actually see him taking a little bit of focus off and maybe looking down at his black box for once. But Pat Pelshaw down pit lane in GTP, and you have to imagine that everybody else in the field is going to be down this time as well. It is not a wide pit window. You've got a pit about halfway or about 2/3 of the way into the race. You can see everybody's in now. Pelshaw, Ovando, Diaz, and the whole host of the rest.
Yeah, the whole host here at this point, they're going to be able to bring their way in as they go. So let's see if anybody's going to be able to get their way going here at this point.
I think the big battle is going to be between Diaz and Ovando here. Pelshaw was just so comfortable in the lead of the race. It was, I think, 10 seconds by the time he came in that we're not really worried about him. Off a pit lane, there goes Pelshaw. But Diaz and Ovando, they were pretty close. Have either of them been able to save a meaningful amount of fuel? Diaz drops off the jacks. He's going to be out first. Ovando's going to be out behind him. I think he lost a little bit of time in the grand scheme of things. He's going to be within a second still, but Ovando's going to be wishing he could be that little bit closer and continue to take the fight to his teammate.
Yeah, he's going to continue to take the fight to him here at this point as he goes. This battle's going to be continuing on here as it continues to go. Rest assured, it is going to be very, very difficult to see just how far ahead they're going to be able to go, though.
LMP2 should be following in here. The 23 of Nathan Ray in the Acura getting a little bit squirrely into turn one, but this is a new camera. We haven't seen Nathan yet this season, and I'm happy we are. Another perspective that we haven't seen. He's got the closet in the background. He's got the voiceover soundproofing on the side. I want to know what this guy does. Is he a podcast host on the side? Is he doing voiceover? He's doing something with that.
I mean, he certainly looks like he's got it here at this point as they run, so I've got to think that he is going to be in position here to be, you know, maybe a podcaster, maybe a musician there, something to do with sound, I can guarantee you that.
I don't see any instruments. I wish I did. Those are always fun when you see somebody with a guitar or something in the background. I mean, he's got a coat hanger. Maybe you could do something with that. I don't know. Maybe we'll get to ask him at the end of the race. But the LMP2s are all in. No surprise for them as well. Nicholas Goen spinning the wheels on top of the jacks, as is Carroll. Nothing really matters there. These guys are all so separated that unless something goes horrifically wrong in the pits, I think they're going to come out in the same order as they came in. Jack Hedgecock's just total control of this race. He hasn't looked back once. He's going to be out, but this could be close. Jeremy Carter and Nicholas Goen. Carter's actually going to get out ahead of Nicholas. That's a change for second.
That is a change for second. All right there. So a little bit of a different run there for the two of them, as now he's going to be able to hold on. The question's going to be here for Carter is if he's able to hold that out. I mean, that pit stop change there, as I'd take a look at it right now, was pretty much identical in pit lane. Only about 0.6 of a second, the difference between the two.
That is a little bit of a surprise. Carter got very, very deep into turn one, though. I think he might inadvertently open the door for Goen. Door gets shut, though. Goen's gonna have to slide back in line. Goes for the switchback, though, out of the Mercedes arena. Carter's gonna hang on for the moment, but Goen was ahead on track, did out-qualify Jeremy as well. So he's gonna be looking for revenge here in the final 2 laps. See if he can steal second back. Carroll, about 5 seconds back from this. Wallace even further back from that, but him and Belair, they're gonna be pretty close for P5. We've got battles many, many places in the LMP2 field, and we've got a battle for second in GTP as well. Ovando has caught Diaz once again.
All right, he's caught him here at this point. The battle is back on for P2.
Ovando got very, very close to this part of the track last time. What's he going to do different? Is he going to maybe get a little bit more aggressive on his teammate and go for the move? Or is he just going to continue to wait and hope he can get a good exit down the back straight? Didn't have a solid run there through the very, very tricky section with Collinhard, I believe. I'm not even going to try that. But yeah, Ovando very, very close. Tantalizingly close, still looking for a move, and we're going to keep following this for a while because it's the most important battle on the track.
Yeah, it's the most important battle that we have here at this point. Let's see if they can keep it going. With only 11 minutes left to go, that's probably going to be over the course of 2 laps, I think.
But Ovando loses again. He's so fast through, I think, the tightest and twistiest sections. He's fast through high-speed corners as well. But elsewhere, he's just losing a ton of time. Down the hill there, through Bergwerk, he got about 4 tenths closer, and now these are just high-speed, flat-out corners. Diaz in control, holds on, loses a couple of tenths, then up the hill here, not flat out. Ovando gets closer again. This is the closest he's been. He may think about a move if he can get side-by-side with his teammate.
If he can get side-by-side here, I'm not sure if he wants to do it, though, at the point. He's going to have to try to push a little bit more and maybe get his way around them.
I think he's wishing he may have been side-by-side into the carousel. It's not going to happen, though. Diaz is going to hold him off. These two are potentially battling for second in the championship. They're also trying to hold on to the team's championship lead, though, so they do have to be careful not to take each other out as Goen and Carter side-by-side, flying over the hill, then into the braking zone. Goen on the outside, Carter on the inside, still side-by-side. Carter's trying to make it stick, but it's not going to happen. Goen gets the move done around the outside, and now Carter was once on defense. He's on offense now as he tries to steal the draft.
He's going to try to steal the draft away here at this point as they work their way up and over the hill. Oh, a little bit of a tough run there for Goen. That got a little bit sketchy.
And bad news for Luke Wallace fans. He was battling with Michael Belair for P5. I think he's had an off, and he's out of touch with P5 there. We'll try and take a look at what happened there when we can. But that's more misfortune for Wallace, who's had a very solid day, has just had a few mistakes that have taken him down. Here's what happened to him with the Piston Pirates GTP in front, actually. He had to check up for the GTP.
Yeah, he did have to check up for the GTP in front of him there, and that's what threw everything off.
Not good stuff there, unfortunately. These LMP2s, the brakes are good. There's high downforce. It's an easy car to drive at times, but when you slam on the brakes like that, and especially when you hit 100% brake pressure, they just pendulum around, and there's nothing you can do to save it there. And it's getting worse for Wallace now. Lehman is now by up into P6. I think Wallace is just trying to get the rhythm back.
Yeah, I think he is too. I think he's just trying to build that rhythm back to the best of his abilities, see if he can be in a good position to try this again and go for a good run.
Lehman 5 seconds behind P5 now. I don't know if he's going to be thinking about the podium or even P5, but he's up to P6 now. That's much higher than where he qualified. He's having a solid day so far, and he's actually fighting with Luke Wallace for P4 in the Drivers' Championship. They're only separated by 7 points right now. It should be, by the organization where they are right now, that'll only be 6 points going into next week. That's incremental change, and I think that's all Caleb Lehman needs if he wants to fight for potentially P4 or P3 in the championship, or even the championship with how bad Daniel Zegers' day has gone.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing he's got to think about here at this point to try to get himself back open forward is just keeping things together. He doesn't have to be too aggressive here. He doesn't have to push his way too ahead. He's just got to be calm, cool, and collected.
We talk a lot about in the LMP3-GT4 challenge that that Graham Wildman has the most vigorous fan contingent in the chat. They're cheering him on every week. Nathan Ray in GTP is a pretty solid contingent as well. They're getting similarly to Graham Wildman levels. So I think we're going to do a little bit of fan service here. We're going to let them see Mr. Ray once again because that's what you got to do at the Nurburgring. When you got some quiet moments, you got to make the fans happy. You got to make them come back week after week. And here's Nathan Ray. Give me some cheers in the chat. Oh, that wasn't for long enough. Now we've got actual racing. What is this? That's unbelievable. This is a fan service channel, not a racing channel. Ryan O'Connor, though, he's going to make the move. And I'm glad he resolved that before the corner because that means we get more Nathan Ray time.
Yes, it certainly does. And Joey, I've got some news here. We're at 2 laps to go. That is the pace that Pat Pelshot is putting down up at the top of the field. He is blistering here, and that means that he's going to cross over the start-finish line with about 15 to 20 seconds left to go, and there's going to be a whole other lap to complete for these drivers. That could be a little bit of a problem here for some of them, because what if they didn't put enough fuel in?
Yeah, that's always the mystery. Every single time in this series and the GT3 series as well, it seems like every week we have a fuel mystery to see if people are actually able to make it to the end. I think if anybody's not doing so well on fuel, they're probably going to be hoping for an IMSA finish from this weekend, where instead of maybe going 1 lap longer, we just throw the checkered flag 1 lap early and we make everybody safe.
Well, I think that would have to be the ones that, somebody was going to have to call that out here over the course of today. Obviously, if you saw the IMSA action from over the weekend.
Well, actually, if it was an IMSA finish, we would have just taken the checkered flag, because it would have been 2 laps early.
Right. It was the Daytona 23 hours and 58 minutes.
There we go, precisely. But this series used to be 40-minute races, if my memory serves me correctly, but this season, based on the IMSA calendar, it has been 45-minute races, so a couple extra minutes of racing never hurt anybody. We're happy to have those couple extra minutes to watch these GTP and LMP2 cars in action. And this is just an incredible onboard here. Rear end to Michael Diaz, Ovando hunting behind him. It's like seeing a police chase on the highway. It is just incredible to see these guys throwing everything at it, and Ovando once again getting tantalizingly close.
Yeah, getting tantalizingly close here at this point as they just continue to try to push their way forward, see if they're able to get anything. And Ovando just trying to put the pressure to the back of him as much as possible.
I'm trying to check my facts there, by the way, if these races were actually 40 minutes last season. No, they weren't. They were all 45 minutes, so I think I'm confusing with one of the GT3 series. So it is still good to have 45 minutes of racing, though. We love to see it, and we love to see Ovando as close as he's ever been once again, within a 10th. Is he going to get that mythical 0 next to the number? He's not. He's going to back out of it just as he gets close enough to his teammate, because this is not a part of the track where you can run side by side. Diaz heavily committed yet again, and he is going to hold on, but Ovando is going to start getting frustrated soon. We're going to take the white flag this time in about 4 minutes' time, and Ovando eventually has to take the gloves off and find a place to get aggressive.
Yeah, he certainly does. I mean, I wonder here if he's just going to wait until he gets down to the Dottinger Hoa and try to do it through there. That seems to be the most logical place. We are going to go on board with Zach Hebert here at this point, as there we see the onboard from the VR perspective as he works his way around.
This is like a double feed for him, because we've got the VR perspective, but also at the bottom of his screen, you can see that he's down there as well. We got little Zach with the bouncing object. I do wonder what the bouncing object is. I might have to ask him about that lore, but yeah, it's a double perspective. He's making up for somebody who hasn't given us their camera. So what a nice guy.
Yeah, what a nice guy indeed. Two for the price of one. Kind of love that there for him.
I'm actually looking up bouncing object on Twitch right now. I want to see what's going on over there. Let's see.
All right, let's go and see. Indeed,
he's got some people in his chat right now. He's got Core Carter. He's got Jason Tails. He's got Turbo Snail 87. I wonder if those guys have the double monitor setup. They're watching his stream on one screen, and they're watching RaceSpot on the other. That's the ultimate experience.
Well, I certainly hope that they are trying to be able to be over here on RaceSpot, because we want the views too.
Exactly, and I'm looking at his rig, because he's got it listed in his Twitch description. He's got the same play seat challenge that I do. I'm glad mine, that's kind of dusty and dingy after a couple of years, looks similar. He's done a better job of cleaning it. He's got a better wheel than I do. He's got better pedals than I do. But he's got a follower, Dano579. He's got Daniel Harris as a follower. What a lucky guy.
And there you go. I wish Daniel followed me on Instagram, but you know, I'll take what I can get.
And of course, right as I say that, Daniel in the chat with the beautiful words of encouragement to Mr. Zach Heapert. I'm glad he's in the chat today. I'm glad we have him as a fan. You don't get that often. He's giving us some good stuff. He's hyping up the drivers.
There you go. You love to see that. And even for these drivers that aren't racing, we do love to see that sense of community, because that's one of the things that we really do love about the Precision Racing League, is this is genuinely one of the best racing cultures in terms of racing leagues that you're going to see on the iRacing simulator.
And Mr. Harris, if you want to be my hype man, come to Wednesday night PRL. Be in the chat there. I'm going to need it. It's not gone well for me this season. And you can tune in to DJ doing iRacing League Racing at some point in the near future, maybe, hopefully, potentially.
You certainly can be hyping me all over the place, and we'll see if I get back in the sentence.
We'll get you back on RaceSpot one of these days.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see. Maybe this winter, when everything calms down a little bit.
Yes. That's a legally binding statement right there. We're going to get DJ into the booth. No, into the box. You're already in the booth. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, there you go. This is what happens when we race around the Nurburgring.
Exactly. How many laps do you think you've driven around this place, if you had to count?
3.
I'm probably pretty similar. I mean, I've driven a lot on because this was on Forza before I even. Oh, Luke Wallace off the road yet again. But Joshua Chinsky going to check up for the corner. I think he was a little bit scared. Had to get extra early on the brakes to make sure he didn't get sucked into the target fixation. But once again, Luke Wallace loses the spot. Boris Ovando, though, gaining a spot, catches Michael Diaz the best possible opportunity on the long straight. And Boris is going to be up into P2 for a moment, but Michael's going to be fighting it back.
He's going to be fighting it back here at this point, and that's exactly what I was talking about with Ovando, trying to see if he was going to be able to hold that out and wait for that run on the Tottinger Hoa. But here they're going to be side by side coming down through Hohenrhein. Are they going to be able to hold it out? Ovondo's going to keep the lead. Now it's going to be Diaz on the attack.
And Pat Pelshaw just dunking on the field, takes the white flag, sets the fastest lap for good measure. But remember what Michael Diaz was able to do last time around. He was able to get to the inside of his teammate into turn 1. He was able to try and make the move back. Ovando doesn't want that to happen again, though. Closes the door, forces Diaz the long way around. Michael's going to go for the switchback, though. Ovando on exit holds on, but Diaz still there, trying to make it work the long way around.
Trying to make it work the long way around here at this point, trying to see what they are able to do. Oh, there, it's getting a little tight through the Mercedes arena.
Very tight between teammates, and yet again it switches back. Ovando with the momentum. He's going to pull to the outside. Can he do the move that Diaz was able to do on him? Down the hill, around the outside. Boris gets it back. Diaz makes it work around the outside. The momentum through the second half of the corner wins out for Diaz. And Ovando, yet again, is likely going to have to follow his teammate into the Nordschleife. Unless Diaz makes a mistake through the final couple corners of the Grand Prix layout, Ovando is going to have a familiar blue sight in front of him for 7 more minutes.
Yeah, but here's the problem. They've allowed for Dave Menino to catch in to the tune of about 3 seconds here at this point, Joey. It's down to 1.1 second, the gap between Ovando and Menino. Yes, this is a great little battle. I'm sure they're in communication with one another, but they've got to be careful about attack from Ovando behind as we watch Brock here for the 221.
Oof, that is unfortunate there. Coming up over the hill, that almost looked like bottoming there for Matthew Falk, just descending it into the wall. But let's see, what can Ovando do? Fast chicane here. It's not the F1 chicane. It's not a heavy braking zone. It's the WEC chicane where you got to be high speed, you got to be high commitment. And now on to the Nordschleife for the final time. Ovando within half a second. He's been able to get as close as 1/10 of a second through this part of the track. But he's got to get aggressive. There's 1 lap to go. There's no time to wait. If he wants to finish second, he's got to pounce on his teammate in a way that he hasn't been able to before.
Yeah, he's got to make the run here at this point, and he's got to do this in a way that's smart, that's heads up, that's not going to put him into any danger, but he has got to try to pressure into a mistake. But once again, it's his teammate, so you don't want to see him chuck it off the road.
And what Dave Menino is thinking behind, basically take everything the DJ just said and flip it in half, make it evil, say we want the two teammates to take each other out, and that's probably Dave Menino's thought process right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly Dave's process.
Can Boris do it? Can Boris do the funny for Dave Menino, or is he going to do the smart and make the move smartly, or not make the move at all and finish third? There's so many possibilities. Anything can happen. Pat Pelshaw's going to win the race. We know that much, unless he crashes here on the final lap or runs out of fuel. But what is going to happen between these two guys? Matt Carroll, by the way, in LMP2, he's taken third from Jeremy Carter, who's in trouble. Not sure what's happened to Jeremy, but he continues to fall down the order. Has it all come undone for him as well? The last time we had him on a big track at Le Mans, he almost won. But here at the Nordschleife, coming through the final couple of corners, huge crash for Jeremy Carter.
Oh, rough break there for Jeremy. He's gotten through 47 minutes at this point. Throws it all away there at that point. But now we focus back on the battle. Ovando trying to hold on in. Menino losing a little bit of time there through the first half of the Nordschleife.
Ovando just keeping this gap stagnant. 0.6, 0.5, but he needs to find a way to get that little bit closer, but we're not even half of the way through the lap. There is so much time for things to develop. Ovando, a wheel into the grass. I think that tells us he's pushing 100% here. There is nothing being held back right now by Boris Ovando. He is going full Boris mode, and he's clipping the grass in some of the fastest corners in this track.
Yeah, he's trying to push as much as he can here at this point to just give everything that he has got, to go as hard as he can and to get himself into as much of a position as possible to get everything to play.
And these two guys are going to be thinking, I think, later on in the season, how do we catch our teammate Pat Pelshai? It's one thing to battle with each other for second. That's all fine and good. You know, it's fun to battle no matter where you are. But their teammate is 15 seconds ahead. He won the race before this. He won the race before that as well. And the race before that was won by Daniel Harris. So both of these guys have to think, what can we do in the final 5 rounds of the season to win a race? Because if it goes like this race is going today, they got a lot of work to do to be able to do that.
Yeah, they've got a lot of work to try to do here at this point to get themselves into position to be able to get everything to play. Battle for second in GTP. We've also got a good little battle there coming up from behind in P6 in the LMP2s.
And that's been one of the most interesting stories of this race. Luke Wallace, currently P6. I don't think anybody in the field has had more mistakes caught by our cameras today, but they've been such small mistakes that they've caused no damage or no real damage to that car. He's still running perfectly clean. He's still running very high up in the field. He's had a couple of bobbles, but those don't matter if you're still running and you're still fast.
Yeah, exactly. If you're able to get everything together, then, well, you're going to be in good position and you're going to be able to hold on to it not too badly.
It's about finishing the race, however spectacularly that is. You just saw John Leedy, by the way, in LMP2 at the top of your screen. He was passed by these two in GTP. Ovando very close again. He's brought that gap down by about 0.2, but it still just looks a little bit like some highway driving, flying in formation, and not much in terms of Ovando being able to actually look at an overtake. Sparks being flung out of the bottom of Luke Wallace's car down at the bottom of your screen. That is going to be very, very spicy. Ovando within 0.3 of the top of your screen. Menino now within half a second. You can throw a blanket over these three, but is there anywhere else in the track where you can actually go for an overtake? That's the big question.
Yeah, that is the big question here at this point. It's all going to be going down the Dottinger Hoa. That's where it's all going to set up to.
Boris is now within 0.1, but this is not a heavy braking zone. Look at Menino, though, looking to the outside of Ovando. Nothing happened there, but Dave Menino is absolutely going to play a role here in the battle for second. Through the final 2 corners onto the back straight, Menino gets to the outside of Ovando, forced onto the grass, though, and Menino spins. He's going to be able to keep going, I think. He's got 11 seconds back to Aiden Young if he can back it up and get going straight again, but he's not able to move. He's going to let John Leedy get by. Menino's finally going to get going, but he waited long enough to let Aiden Young get by. Menino down to P5, and Ovando, as he argued with Menino over the curb, has lost Michael Diaz almost. He's within a second, so he's got the barest end of the draft, but none of that matters, because up front, 16 seconds in the lead. Pat Pelshaw dunks on the field at the Nurburgring and wins for the 3rd time this season. Total dominance from the championship leader, totally untouchable. And out of the final corner, Michael Diaz holds off a hard-charging teammate, and he is going to get second honors. His teammate wins, he finishes second, and Boris Ovando certainly put up a fight. Wasn't enough of a fight to get P2 though. It's still going to be a Precision Racing Esports 1, 2, 3. Huge day for them. And now we got things to resolve in LMP2 as the Luke Wallace train has only gotten bigger.
Yes, indeed, it has here at this point, working their way through the back half of the circuit right now. Luke Wallace trying to be able to hold off on those battles behind him. Here as he goes, Chinsky and Carson Quint closing in behind.
And Karsten about 20 seconds behind, unfortunately. That's
excuse me. That's a lapped car in the middle there. Yeah,
I know. I was wishing that was. I was wishing he was going to be part of the fight too, but he can. I mean, if Doug Sorrentino really wants, he could play a role in this battle. He could just go for a little bit of glory and get by Joshua Chinsky. It almost looks like he wants to, but he's actually going to slide it through the final or through that corner. I think he's going to know to stay out of it now. It would be entertaining to see him fighting with Chinsky, but I don't think he wants to make Chinsky angry right now.
No, I don't think he does either. As they go through the carousel here at this point, you got to kind of know your position. You got to kind of know what you're racing for. Oh, what a great run for Chinsky there. Coming off of the carousel, he's going to be in good position.
If he can stay close, he's past the carousel. That's kind of the... That's kind of a big turning point. If you can stay close, you can make a move, and he's going to do it right there, coming down the hill. Doesn't even have to wait for the back straight. Joshua Chinsky up to P6. Great move from him. And Luke Wallace down to P7. He's going to be in touching distance of Doug Sorrentino as well. But yeah, we'll see if he can see if he can bring it to the finish of the race, which is going to be an accomplishment in and of itself. Because you've got to look very far up the grid here. You look up 6 seconds and you've got Caleb Lehman. You go 20 seconds further than that and you've got Michael Belair. 7 more seconds to Matt Carroll. 17 more seconds to Nicholas Goen. And then up to Jack Hedgecox. I think I did my math slightly wrong there, but all of that to say that 1 minute ahead of this battle, Jack Hedgecox has been totally dominant today, and he is going to get coronated here in a matter of moments because Wallace still just needs to hang on, still just needs to know that Doug Sorrentino isn't on his lap. He doesn't really need to worry about him, and he'll have a little bit of glory. But here is Jack Hedgecox coming through the final couple of corners. It was a dominant day for Pat Pelshaw in GTP. It was a dominant day for Jack Hedgecox all the same. He may be in the secondary class in this series, but he has been the absolute best in a Dallara prototype in this series. And once again, Jack Hedgecox wins in LMP2. He's back after a bad week at Daytona last week, and he once again shows that he is the championship favorite, and you're going to have to do a lot to beat him in the final 5 rounds.
Yeah, you certainly are. That is a statement victory here for Jack Hedgecox to be able to pull that LMP2 across the line like that and to win in that dominant of a fashion. That is a mark of authority.
And I do have to start wondering, maybe next season, if Jack wins 2 championships in a row, which obviously is far away, Daniel Zegers is still in there, Chinsky and Lehman as well, they could fight for it as well. But if Hedgecox wins 2 LMP2 championships, do we promote him up to GTP potentially? I don't know, that'll be a conversation for later in the season. This guy, though, Joshua Chinsky, great comeback from him, overtaking the final lap, very difficult part of the track to do it. He's going to finish P6.
All right, he's going to finish P6 here. A good run for Chinsky, a good run for the majority of this field. Let's all give them a massive amount of credit.
I would give him a round of applause, but I don't have 2 hands free, unfortunately, with my push to talk, so you might have to do it for me, DJ.
Well, there you go.
Well, I have one hand. You have another. Can we clap somehow here with one hand each?
Yeah, there we go. Well, virtual clapping through
there
the
we go.
ether, through the across the coasts.
Karsten Quint across the line. Well done by him. I'm a big fan of that Precision Racing Academy livery, by the way. They've got like a flame effect on the back with the red and white, or red and yellow rather. That's pretty good stuff. Blake Ziti, P10 for him. Hasn't quite gone his way. Had a few issues, but finishing a race, like you said earlier, DJ, at the Nordschleife, that's enough of an accomplishment. And across the line, Blake Ziti, after quite a long while, and the longest race he's going to have all season by about 7 extra minutes, he finally crosses the line too.
All right, he's going to cross on over there, and it sounds like everybody else is across the line here, Joey. A great day for racing at the Nordschleife.
Jack Hedgecock's burning it down, making sure all of that rubber is burnt off because he's not going to need it anymore. But after the end of many, many minutes of racing, Pat Pelshaw is a winner yet again. PRE 1-2-3, Pelshaw, Diaz, Ovando, Aiden Young, solid day for him as well in fourth. Just kind of lonely, except on that final lap when Dave Menino fell to fifth after a little bit of argy-bargy with Boris Ovando. Will the stewards review that? Potentially, but it's going to be Dave Menino P5 all the same. Nathan Ray with a big fan club, P6 ahead of Ryan O'Connor. J.R. Williams, P8. Jeff Evans, another top 10 from him. I think he's had a top 10 in every race so far this season. Calvin Myant rounded out the top 10 in one of the few Porsches in the field. Eric Palacio, P11. Ahead of the two Piston Pirates Porsches, Adam McDonald and Grigor Georgiev. Both of them had trouble, but both of them finished on the lead lap. It's a big accomplishment from them. Hebert, Borland, and Schwartz 1 lap down, and then the used car lot of cars with heavy, heavy damage. Darian Roy 2 laps down, Mark Kalin 3 laps down, Anthony Dring 4 laps down, and Mark McDonald 6 laps down. Chris Walsh 6 laps down as well. Early trouble for both of them. LMP2, Jack Hedgecock's big win for him, big comeback out of his teammate Nicholas Goen. That's going to be very big for them in the team's championship. I think that'll give them the lead now of that team's championship. Matt Carroll, podium for him, his first podium of the season. And Michael Belair, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, having a pretty good day. P4 ahead of Caleb Lehman and Joshua Chinsky. Luke Wallace, the one-man highlight reel, finished P7. Then Quint Arvello and Ziti rounded out the top 10. Jeremy Carter, bad luck for him on the final lap, was in the fight for the podium, and it all went wrong for him. He finished P11. Then Mon, Leedy, Falk, Sorrentino, Vardanesian, and Andrew Wood down to P17. Ryan Chandler had some damage. Championship leader Daniel Zegers did not have a good day and didn't complete 50% of the race, so this is going to have to be his drop week as a DNF. Reagan Chandler as well, a DNF in LMP2. That rounds out 41 prototypes around the Nordschleife today. Absolute craziness, an absolute challenge, and yet again, we get to talk to Pat Pelshaw first and foremost. Pat, you showed up the whole field. I'm going to start calling you Pat Pelshaw Schleif or something like that because nobody else could touch you around here.
Oh yeah, man. Oh my god, the car was on rails. It was just a joy to drive, and I felt like at one with it. There's nothing else to say, man. It was on fire.
So how much experience do you have around this track? Because it certainly looked like you have a ton, but how many laps do you think you've driven around here in recent times?
This week, probably like around 50, 60 laps. Just set up building. I've done a couple Nurburgring endurance. Quite enjoyed doing those solo. So I guess this track, I feel good at it, I guess.
So you're absolutely the championship favorite now. 3 wins now in a row out of 4 races. How do you feel 5 rounds left in the season with that target on your back as the championship leader?
We're going for it. I think I'm feeling good, and I think I gel a lot with the Acura, and I got an incredible team with me, just pushing every week to work on sets and practice and stuff like that. So it's just great a great season so far, and it's really looking good.
Well, Pat, congrats on yet another win. I'm going to call you Mr. Nurburgring from now on, and we'll see you next week.
That's good. I'm good with that. Thank you.
Mr. Nurburgring himself, Pat Pelshaw, coming home with the win. But there may be a Mr. Nurburgring Jr. as well, because Jack Hedgecock was similarly dominant. Don't want to make sure he loses credit, and he gets to talk to DJ Clark.
He does indeed. Jack Hedgecock's a return to form this week at the trickiest of tracks. This has got to feel good.
You're right. I would say after last week, I was really looking for a pushback, especially first DNF last week and over the whole time I've been here in this series. So yeah, I was definitely looking for it, and I didn't stop pushing, even though I had chances. I didn't stop. I wanted that gap as high as I could.
Well, you did a great job with it, and you really made it look good. Did you have any hairy moments out there? We didn't give you as much camera time as we necessarily wanted to, just because there's some craziness going on back through the field.
I didn't have any major moments. I definitely popped out of at the end of the lap, that left-hand carousel looking corner, went a bit too fast, hopped out, but it's like a second here and there. But yeah, no major incidents. I made sure to, avoid that at least. But no, I'm very happy with tonight, and glad I could put in a statement after last 2 weeks not really driving or having the best of races.
Well, you come back here. Are we going to see a return to form back at Suzuka?
I'm hoping so.
Or not Suzuka, Sebring, sorry.
I would hope so. I love Sebring. This is a great track. I think I won last season there as well. I drove really well. So we'll see what Daniel puts up for me in terms of pace against me, and we'll see what happens.
Well, we wish you all the luck in the world when we get there, my friend, and good luck.
Thank you. Have a good night, y'all.
All right, that was your victor up in the LMP2 category, Mr. Jack Hedgecox, Joey.
How about a dynamic twosome? Second place, Michael Diaz. Third place, Boris Ovando. Two teammates. And you guys battled it out on track all day, so we might as well talk to you both at the same time. I'll come to you first, Michael, as you were the winner of the battle. How much pressure was that having Boris with you for basically the entirety of those last couple laps?
I certainly almost died a couple of times. So yeah, it was there. The pressure was there. But Boris, we raced like really clean. It was really awesome. Lots of fun. And I mean, I don't know what happened to him and David at the end, but overall for us, it was fun.
Well, Boris, I'll come to you as well. The unfortunate not benefactor of that finished third, but how hard was it trying to get by Michael? It seemed like you were faster in one half of the lap, slower in another. What went wrong? What went right?
We're trading blows. He was faster in certain parts. I was faster in parts. He made a mistake here, made a mistake there. And kind of just started to to be honest. And it was a lot of fun. And at the end, it was one of those second decisions. Bad enough to allow David to catch up there. And just trying to maximize the track as much as possible to get a good exit for potential wide. That's just such a fast right-hander. But the battle with Mike was just really awesome, and I'm glad we were able to have that battle, and he came out on top this time, but maybe not next time.
Well, Boris and Mike and Pat as well. PRE 123. It sounds so good. Congrats on that. We'll see you guys next week.
Yeah,
Appreciate
for sure.
it.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Michael
guys.
Diaz and Boris Ovando. PRE 123. I just like saying that. It sounds good. It sounds rhythmic. But we're not done yet. We got a couple more drivers to talk to because Nicholas Goen, Mr. Nick Goen himself, finished second in LMP2 and talks to DJ.
Nick, a good run there out for you. Was this a little bit more of a case of just wanting to finish the thing and being able to get on the podium's a perk, or was this full bore ahead?
Oh, no, this was full bore ahead. I mean, I know there were some rumblings about maybe some participation issues or whatever, so I saw it as a perfect opportunity to capitalize on a good finish and try to work my way back up into the points, especially after the last few rounds. So definitely full steam ahead for this one.
Well, full steam ahead and a good run there out for you on the day. Being able to finish a good 6 seconds ahead of Matt Carroll, that's got to feel pretty good.
Oh, absolutely. Jeremy had me on the ropes there for a little bit. Made a little mistake in the right-hander before the carousel, and he was able to get around me, but I was able to fight back. And Matt Carroll, he had some good, consistent pace. So, I mean, if I had made a mistake, he was going to be on top of me. So just wanted to keep it clean there towards the end.
Well, you kept it clean. You did a great job, Nick. Sebring going to be more of the same, or what are you expecting there around the bumps?
I'm hoping for some really good pace. When we were there last season, I had some really good pace. I just had some bad luck at the very beginning, and it was a recovery run after that. So I think given how we started Sebring last season, I think it's going to be more of the same. So hopefully Jack and I will be up front to start there.
Well, we wish you all the luck in the world when you get there, my friend. Hope everything goes well. We'll see you next week.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. And it looks like we've got one more gentleman waiting for you, Joey. That's third place in the LMP2s, Mr. Matt Carroll.
Indeed. You finish on the podium for the first time. I think we do have to talk to you for the first time. Matt Carroll, welcome to the Race Spot booth, and welcome to the podium in the PRL for the first time.
Hello. Thank you.
So you managed to do that in probably the most difficult race you can ask for in a prototype. What clicked so well for you for the Nordschleife? Were you excited to come here?
Yes, I was. I don't feel particularly quick in the P2s. However, I primarily drive Nords, so really any car kind of for me works usually in my favor. there. And I know Nords is often kind of a waiting game for just the people in front of you to make a mistake. So didn't really try to challenge anybody, just kind of ran a comfortable pace and tried to make as few mistakes as possible, and it ended up in a podium.
I'm a big fan of your highlighter yellow rear wing, by the way.
Well, thank you.
Big fan of that. But if we ever have the PRL Nordschleife series, we'll make sure to invite you to that. Congrats on the podium, and we'll see you next week.
All right, well, thank you again.
Matt Carroll coming home on the podium for the first time. Hopefully the first of many times we get to talk to him. But that's going to be the end of prototype action tonight, DJ, unfortunately. Craziness at Sandown. Craziness at the Nordschleife. Can only imagine what's going to happen next week as we go to a pair of S's. Suzuka in the LMP3-GT4 Challenge, and good old Sebring in the GTP LMP2 series.
Hashtag respect the bumps. It's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic, and we cannot wait to bring you that action next Monday.
9:30 p.m., same time, same place here on RaceSpotTV. We will be going prototype racing once more. We thank you for joining us on Monday nights for this whole season. We got 5 more weeks to go, and there's more PRL action almost all week on RaceSpotTV. Tomorrow night it'll be GT3s on Tuesday night. But until we see you next time, I've been Joey Tebben. DJ Clark's been DJ Clark. Our producer has been Dustin Allis. And until we see you next time, so long.